Hi, Cole. I gotta do these real quick. I had the urge in me today to debunk some idiots, so. Hello, Jamie. Oh, interesting, huh? I'm just reading the notes that it says that people have to be over 18 or older to send and receive gifts. Oh, to recharge and send gifts. That's what it is. Which I guess is a good idea. I don't know. Hi, Nova. Let me see if I can. I'm trying to figure out if YouTube is working right now or if I'm still having issues. Yeah, I'm having issues with it again. The crazy YouTube. Okay, so there's that. Now if I hit that button, will it work? Yeah, now it's working. Strange, I think. Yeah, it's working now. That's okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, YouTube is a pain in the ass, I guess, for me. Oh, it's Grimlock. It's a wild Grimlock. Oh my god, it's Sarah! Sarah! Hi, friend. Yeah, they are get a bit Wait, how am I not following you? That's horrible. How was I not following you on TikTok? I am asking for a magical blahage for Christmas. Or I'm just gonna buy one. That's probably what's gonna happen. Probably just gonna buy one from IKEA. So is blahage or bluhai? I think it's actually pronounced blahai because Swedish. Hi, Amy. Blahai. Swedish is a funny language. Apparently, it's one of the easiest languages to learn. If you know English, like it's one of the easier languages in terms of learning. If you only know English, which is interesting because it's Nordic. It's not like the vocabulary I think is kind of different because it's not as I don't think they get as many French words and stuff because a shocking amount of English is French, but So hear me out. We take a stoat and we paint a trans flag on its belly, and then we send it to attack all the transphobes. Got it? Yeah. Great idea. Bad idea. Oh yeah, and Swedish is a lot of the I think Finnish is a little bit different, Ali, but yeah, Swedish is similar to Norwegian, um, but it is different. Um, where's my Ali? Was Reclesi on the stream? And I didn't see him in Ian's chat. Was he there? I didn't see him at all. Yeah, okay. I'm not crazy. My not a philosopher. That he's earned the nickname not a philosopher after yesterday. Whoops. Oh, your glasses broke. That's awful. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I don't see anybody requesting. So if you disagree, I'd be happy to talk with you. I noticed something the other day when I was looking at my sister's social medias. This is like so for like my entire life, my sister's always been had more followers than me on like every social media app. And I looked at hers recently, and I have like 10 times the follower of her on TikTok alone. I'm like, wah. What the hell does that mean? So the primary argument that I'm making here is that the anti-change policies, they when people argue for them, they generally are starting out with like an idea of protection, but that in fact they are ignoring the very real data that shows us that non-affirmation leads to worse outcomes in life. Um, so to answer your question about anorexic people, no, because we know if we affirm anorexic people, um, it leads to them having worse life outcomes because they literally will just starve, and starving's causing harm. Hey, can I get your age and pronouns, please?
33, he, him.
Have I spoke with you before?
I think it's been a while with us.
Oh, okay. Do you disagree?
Yeah,
I think you disagree, from what I
yeah,
remember.
I disagree.
Um,
I disagree. I think the affirmation, right, that we can be giving trans people, right, is that what they believe a woman is incorrect, right? A woman can be, you know, anything you want to visualize. There's nothing societal that makes a woman, and I think affirming them that they can be a boy and express however they want. Being a boy doesn't change their expression, right? And that how you express yourself doesn't make that gender.
So the whole point I'm actually like arguing here, the whole purpose of my argument is to show that I don't focus on things such as definitions. I simply do not care how somebody identify or what they think a woman is. I don't care what like semantics are that we're talking about. As long as we understand what we're all talking about, beyond that, I simply do not care about semantics. Um, Simply because we have data that shows us that affirmation is the best possible thing that we can do to these individuals, and also does not hurt anybody else.
I think it's the affirmation of the semantics that we're trying to affirm, right? Like it's like if like you think someone's gonna unalive themselves just because they're not being called a label, a certain label.
It's not that. It's the affirmation part. So My general understanding of why people will why so when we like deep down inside ourselves we have our own selves of individuality, um and this is something that we best know ourselves, at least for 99.9% of individuals like over the age of like 10. um it's something that we grow into as we grow up, and it's not like we can't manipulate it really. It can be somewhat influenced a little bit by traumatic life events, but outside of that it's something that doesn't really change. When you're what we've seen is that when you grow up around a family that's supportive of who you are, you have lower risks of drug abuse, you have lower risks of engaging in risky sexual behavior, you have lower rates of
Sure.
depression, anxiety, and suicide ideation, and suicide attempts go way down. So therefore, I simply do not care what we say is a man or a woman if just affirmation leads to people living better, healthier, longer lives.
Right, but it
Especially if it's not
okay.
causing harm to other people. Because
Right,
at
but
that
that
point, to argue against that would be to argue in favor of causing harm, which I would
well,
just take as a reductio at that point. Like, it's ridiculous to think that we should, for
yeah, I
semantic
don't.
reasons.
Yeah, this internal sense of identity that you're saying that somebody develops at a very young age, I don't think that the internal sense of identity has anything to do with the words woman or man. Because if you're saying that it does because of their external influence that has associated what a woman is, by these expressions, right? Then I think that would be an incorrect way to teach people how a self identity works. Because, like, let's say my child comes up to me, my son comes up to me and says, "Hey, Daddy, I'm a girl." And my first question to my son is going to be, okay, well, like, what makes you a girl? And their response, right? If they say, I don't know, well, clearly they need to understand what a girl is. So if I tell them, well, like, a girl is a female, right? They're not going to be able to associate themselves with a girl unless they use how they dress themselves, what they like to play with that association. And that's where the education of, like, listen, son, you can wear a dress, you can wear makeup, you can talk however you want. It doesn't make you any less of a boy. I think it's that kind of education that you're still affirming them in how they want to express themselves, but them understanding the biological foundation of what a boy is.
So, like, it's very clear that like trans individuals, that their biology is a thing. Being trans doesn't necessarily have to mean that you feel that your biology is wrong. It often includes some sort of gender dysphoria, um, just due to how this persistent, or how this is seen in individuals. Um, but especially at younger ages, this doesn't actually appear as much as almost not fitting in with what we would see as and it's not even just not fitting in, it's a deep sense of I am not what you say I am,
Okay,
kind of
but
thing.
let's
So
break that down. Hold on. When they're saying I'm not a boy, right? I'm a girl, and I have this deep sense of being a girl. What you have to understand, what is it to them that they think is a girl, right? And if they identify those things that make them a girl as these external influences, such as wearing a dress, having long hair, the expression of how we view women in society, um, that's where we should be coming in and educating on them that this deep sense of self, right, is not that it's incorrect, it's that the association with it is incorrect.
well
They are this thing
I
because of this, right? Those things that they're saying they are because of those external influences does not make that gender.
Can I call you Cav? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Cav. So, we're not saying that masculine women or feminine men cannot exist, nor trans or cis, either way. It is not a choice whether we are trans or not, and it is not external influences or the fact that we like what we like that makes us trans. We just are trans. You could have a male daughter, right? A trans daughter who is into masculine things, and she will still know that she is a girl because our gender identity is not like solely tied to our expression or what we're taught growing up. So like, how would you explain that kind of thing happening, which it happens consistently?
Well, the question I have for every time I ask these individuals who say they are trans, right? Let's like whether it's a trans woman or a trans man, I always ask them like, what makes you like, what do you think makes you that thing? And the response, right, is not only subjective to all of them, right, but it always comes down to this what I would call an external influence, and then that external influence, right, is that they think a woman is somebody who expresses femininity, right? And I think that's incorrect.
And not all of us agree with you on that. First of all, trans non-binary people exist. Second of all, I implore you. I will give you my emotional labor and energy. Ask me about my life growing up, and then you can determine whether or not I was influenced to
Are
be
you
the
trans?
Yes, I am trans. I said I'm non-binary.
You're a trans non-binary.
Mm-hmm.
So like, okay, so you either don't conform with either gender or you sometimes conform with both,
It's
correct?
dependent on the specific non-binary identity, and there are also are more than two genders. While there may, like, sex is a bimodal spectrum, even if you're intersex male or intersex female, it's not the same with gender. When it comes to being non-binary, there are a ton of different ways that can be expressed. Somebody could be a third gender outside of man and woman, and only that, potentially. Like, that's just one example.
Well, then my question
So
for you is, what kind of non-binary are you then?
I don't prefer to disclose those things, so I don't.
So, okay, well, I'm trying to understand and
Yeah,
figure
I
out this
implore
external
you.
influence, but you want to explain the
Well,
thing
I
you
don't need to
are.
explain that to prove that it's not due to external influence. You just have to ask about my like life growing up and
Okay,
whether or not I was influenced in certain ways, and if I was, how so,
sure,
and so on and so forth.
sure. Well, like I'm going to start with saying I'm not a man because I identify as a man, right? I'm a man because I was born a male, right? I produce large gametes. There's no you could anyways
That's
about
not
yourself,
factual, but go ahead.
right? Are you a female or a male?
That's irrelevant to this conversation. What I am,
Okay,
listen,
what was your
Cav,
childhood like then?
I need you to listen real quick. Thank you. I specifically said, I implore you to ask about my growing up and my external circumstances that I experienced that would make me trans or not.
Tell me about them then. Like, what was it like growing up?
I was a pastor's kid from the time I was born till I was 11. When I was 12, my parents, who were very overprotective and very like constricting on what we could intake online and like post and stuff. We didn't even have social media until we were like way into our teens, my sister and I. And they
Yes.
found me listening to a video educating on different sexualities. My mom brought me up to my room and said, "Why were you watching this?" And I said, "Because I'm pansexual." And she said, "No, you're not." And that's not even regarding gender. So I was scared to come out to my parents as who I was for years after that. It would have been 7 years until I came out as non-binary. And they did learn and grow to accept people for who they are, whether it be their children or not. But the fact that I was restricted from social media, told that I wasn't who I was, and pushed to be this straight cis person, like
Yeah.
that's the external influence that I had. Yet I'm still trans, and so is my
Well,
sister.
hold on. That's not the only external influence, right? External influences come in, hundreds of different forms. It could be your online. Anything you looked up online would be an external influence.
I didn't
right?
have access to online. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Well,
I
but you
had to
just
be
said
in the room with the parent where they could hear what I was listening to in order for them to monitor things until I was way into my teens.
okay, but when did that situation happen where you were looking up sexualities?
I was 12 and I was stopped from doing so.
Right, but you had access to the internet at that time?
I had very highly monitored access, yes.
Right. So then as you were like, how long were you looking at this stuff before your parents came in to stop
It was
you?
that day. I've known, if you're wondering, like, when did you know you were pan? When did you know you were non-binary? You can just ask those questions.
When did you have unrestricted access to internet?
I was 18. I had to become an adult before I had fully unrestricted access to the internet.
Yeah,
Okay, and then when you did have that unrestricted access to the internet, right? You would call anything you read online as an external influence.
Yes, but I already knew that I was trans and non-binary well before then, many, many years before then.
Okay, can you explain to me what you mean, what it means to be trans non-binary in your own situation?
Well, like I said, non-binary encompasses a lot of different identities, but at least in my own situation, I knew I wasn't a girl and I knew I wasn't a boy at 5 years old.
Right, so what is that? Can you explain to me, help me understand what that means, what that would look like to know that you're not a boy or a girl?
Like,
what makes you believe that to be true?
I know it to be true because I know who I am better than you, believe it or not. And being
Okay.
trans is something that, like, you're born with, in the sense, like, you don't understand it when you're born, obviously. But as your gender develops, as you grow up, and you're intaking these external influences, which help inform how you're, like, what your personal idea of gender is.
No, I get
And
you. I
then
get you.
you're able to develop that.
Let me ask this next question though, before
I'm
you.
losing my train of thought because you're kind of interrupting, but, like,
You already
go
gave
ahead and
the answer.
rephrase.
I'm trying to. I
Yeah.
know you already gave the answer. I'm trying to get this moving. I don't want to lose this line of questions. Right, we're getting somewhere here. Now you just finished saying that you're not a boy or a girl, because that's what your internal sense of self is. And for that to be true, obviously, as you know it, you would have to also know what a boy or a girl is for you to understand that you are neither of those things, correct?
Yeah.
So
They
then,
only need to have an idea of what a boy and a girl is. They don't have to
That's
know, like,
it.
within, like, every single cultural definition of what a man or a woman is, or boy or girl. It's simply that they would need some sort of idea that's based off of, growing up is the big thing. Also, Lucifer wanted to say something, so go ahead and jump in.
Okay, go ahead.
me?
No,
Yeah.
Lucifer, not you.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
want to go on topic here.
Well, I just want to know, like, why are you questioning the person above you? Like, why are you being so curious?
She asked. Oh, okay. First of all, can we get through this first before we start asking other questions? Because Cole, if you were here earlier, she asked me to ask these questions to her.
I mean,
I just literally told you I'm non-binary. Sorry to cut you off, Lucifer. My pronouns are they, them. Please respect them.
yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay.
You're
I
already
apologize.
like openly like misgendering them, even though they told you they're trans non-binary. It's very not hard.
Genuinely, it's not on purpose.
Well, it wasn't.
Like, genuinely, it's not on purpose.
No, because you would have asked their pronouns and then fixed how you're speaking to them, because it's really weird how people don't understand trans non-binary people as a whole, and then they do things.
Can we have this conversation without getting into my opinion and your opinion on what grammatically is correct? Because I think I'm grammatically correct, right? You think I'm grammatically incorrect. Can we still have a conversation regardless of our opinion on what grammatical?
I don't care what your opinion is, because I'm also trans non-binary and trans masculine, and I'm telling you the thing.
Okay, can I get back to Cole over here? You've completely derailed this
I
convo.
don't care what your big fifis are, because the things you're saying are very harmful, and they've already told you set a boundary. They don't want to say things, and you're constantly pushing, and that's why I came up here, because you're just not respecting set boundaries. So
In all fairness,
What?
I
Okay.
did.
What
And
have I said that's harmful,
Cav,
please?
Cav. Thank you. In all fairness, I did implore them to ask about like my childhood growing up and stuff to determine whether or not that I was influenced with external factors to be trans. So I did kind of invite it, but at the same time, like when I ask a question or when you ask a question, Cav, and I'm like, that's irrelevant, then just respect that. And I do really appreciate you helping advocate for me, Lucifer, if I can English.
you're welcome. I'm just saying I came up here because I deal with trans medicalists and transphobe that try to act like they're learning and when they really aren't, and that's why I just don't believe you.
Yeah, sometimes they're disingenuous, but even in that case, sometimes there's people in chat who are not, who are willing to learn and wanting to. So yeah, I don't necessarily, my autistic ass can't always tell, but I'm still willing to like try and educate. And I think a lot of times that guests will like walk themselves down this path without realizing like, hey, you're gonna prove yourself wrong by the end of it. So kind of messing with that as well. But again, thank you. I really appreciate it.
You know you're welcome. Not a lot of people try to tell people. Not a lot of people know about our community. It's very exhausting to hear somebody question our community. If you don't know, right, there's a thing called ask for pronouns, and if somebody's just not wanting to tell you what's in their pants or what gender they are, and they're just like, I lack a gender, guess what? You just like, okay, stop pushing it, because again, if you don't understand our community, we're already dealing with the trans medicalists, right? As a trans non-binary myself, I on a daily basis have to keep reminding people we exist, and it's getting very exhausting. So I'm not gonna coddle somebody when I know that you're not actually gonna be here learning or calling out the behavior. So
That's so fair. 100% agree.
yeah, that's why I came up here. And I was like, why are you so curious if you're just not gonna even like first of all ask for pronouns?
It's not that I'm curious. It's about we both want the same thing.
Do you want to keep interrupting trans voices, or can we center trans voices in the debate topic about trans people, please?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you gotta understand something. Like, if you're gonna come in these spaces, yeah, you generally have to unpack some things that you might not understand that you have if you want to hang out with trans people. That's why I say I don't coddle people when I know that they're generally not here to learn. They put a mask on to pretend to be an ally so that a trans non-binary accidentally puts out too much information and then they get harmed.
So fair too. And Cav, I will set this boundary moving forward. To be clear, you are welcome to ask me questions about my childhood and growing up. To determine whether or not you think I was influenced into being trans by these things, you are not allowed to ask questions about my sex anymore. Because what's in my pants does not matter. It's entirely irrelevant.
Doesn't matter for this combo. I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, we both sides here, I think, because I'm on the gender critical side, but both sides over here want to reduce harm to trans people, but how we get there, right, is gonna be very different.
Yeah, GCs want conversion therapy, and we want affirmation.
You want to know something?
I wouldn't call it conversion therapy.
Wait. Hold on. Let's explore this idea. I really want to know what you're talking about here. What are you talking about here? Like saying that, like, what else could you call it other than like exploratory theory or therapy, conversion therapy? Like, there's a number of names.
Therapy, because for it to be conversion therapy, right, you'd have to believe that they would be converting from something, right? And they're not. They're not converting from something.
Oh, so you just rejected the trans in the first place?
No.
Cav. I know we're not going to get too deep into semantics, but do you think that sex and gender are the same thing?
They're not. They mean different things.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good start.
Do you
So,
are
like,
you
that's
friends with GCs and transmedicalists, or do you follow their views?
I'm friends with both sides, and there's people on both sides that align more with.
I'm sorry. See, this is exactly why I said there was a mask here, because first of all, I will never respect a GC or transmedicalist in my lifetime, because they're erasing non-binary people. They are sending harm to our community. This is why I don't really coddle people. I know when a mask is up. That's so dangerous to be friends on both sides when you know they're actively trying to erase non-binary people. Are you kidding me right now?
I don't know.
Absolutely, Cav.
You're making big assumptions
Cav.
right now.
Cav, I have another question for you. If you do not think that conversion therapy is attempting to unsuccessfully every time convert trans people from being trans to being cis, if you don't think that's happening, then you already think they're cis, correct?
Yes, they're already cis. That is correct.
Okay, so you don't think that
But-
trans people exist?
No, they can.
Okay, Cav, in a world where everybody is cisgender, do trans people exist?
Can I clarify on that?
Answer my question. Answer my question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
In a world where only cis people exist, are there any trans people?
In a world where only cis people exist, are there trans people? If I would describe those trans people, right, as people who have an incongruence with their sex. So they would exist. They could exist.
In a world where everybody, I'm going to give you one more shot. This is the third time I've asked it and you answered it wrong already. In a world where everybody is cisgender, would there be any trans people?
Yes.
That's just the wrong answer. No.
Why?
Trans people would not exist because they would be cis. You're
How do you
only saying
define, but
no.
hold on. What do you mean by trans people? Like, what's a trans person?
Someone who has an incongruence between their sex and gender.
Exactly. So why can't trans people
How
exist?
would you define cis people, Cav?
Yes, cis people who do not have an incongruence with their sex.
So if nobody is trans, if you think the trans people are actually cis, which you said yes to, then you believe in a world where only cis people exist.
That was incorrect.
Meaning that you do not think that trans people exist.
That was incorrect. That was incorrect what I said. Not everybody is cis because there's people who have this incongruence. That incongruence is real, right? What I'm trying to say over here is that incongruence doesn't make you that gender.
Okay, but I'm even giving you an extra shot here. In a world, a theoretical world where only cis people exist, would there be any trans people?
Then no.
Okay, we're finally getting somewhere. Okay, so if you do not believe that trans people are the gender they know themselves to be, you think that they're cis, which you already said yes to. And in a world where only cisgender people exist, would trans people exist? You say no, meaning that you do not think that trans people exist.
No, that's not. How did you come up with that?
But this is pretty hilarious at this point.
You just gave a hypothetical. Hold on, you just gave a hypothetical saying if in the whole world only cis people existed, how would that?
Exactly. Your version of the world is where trans people are not trans, they're cis, which you said yes to. You already said yes to.
I already told you I was incorrect when I said trans people are cis.
Oh, okay.
I was incorrect when I said that. I thought
But
about
no,
it.
no.
I thought about it, and that was incorrect.
How? Because you believe that they are not the gender they know themselves to be.
Because
You said that.
yeah, because that mental incongruence exists, and it's the mental incongruence that makes them trans. And I think that could be
Correct,
corrected.
but you don't think that that mental incongruence is valid because you think it's like doesn't make them who they are?
Yeah, I think what they've associated their gender to be is incorrect.
That means that you think they're cis. Like, how do you not understand this?
No, because hold on, let's work this out. A trans person is someone who has an incongruence with the sex assigned at birth. What I'm saying is that association that they have with that gender that led to that incongruence is incorrect. It doesn't make them cis. It still makes them trans. Unless they understand the difference between boy and girl. If they were to understand that, they can actually not become trans anymore. They would just be cis because they would understand that they aren't
What do you think a man is?
an adult human male.
Okay, there we go. You do conflate sex and gender. You said you didn't, but you do.
No, there's a difference.
So species and age added to the sex, which male and female are sex terms, not gender terms.
That's correct.
You think that the species and the age added to that somehow makes you not conflating sex and gender at this point.
Well, they're not the same, are they?
You're right on that, but when you use that definition, you are conflating them.
Well, I'm not. What do you mean conflating them?
It means that you're using them interchangeably when they're not the same, which you said they're not the same, but you're still using them interchangeably to a large degree.
Well, I'm
when
not,
it's related to
right?
sex.
Because I wouldn't call like, my dog a woman. Right?
Exactly, but just adding age and species doesn't make it so that you're not conflating sex and gender, because gender is a literal neuropsychosocial construct and sex is just biology.
Right, and gender, right, is also under a different framework, right? Defines the species, age, and sex of that, of what you're referring to. So gender has the word gender has 3 different frameworks.
Sorry, Cav. I need to take a medication break, so I'm gonna let somebody else take over from here. Hopefully you've been listening, Keaton. But yeah, Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway.
I'm gonna go too, because I'd rather just continue this conversation with you, Cole. I don't wanna.
Why me?
Well, yeah, I cramped
because you're the most level-headed. Lucifer is very emotional.
Oh,
the host is good.
We're not
The
gonna
host
talk
is
about
pretty
people
good.
that way.
I am not emotional. It's called having empathy. It's called having empathy for my siblings and nibblings, right? Because you don't understand waking up every day having 700 plus laws on you, right? You don't have to wake up in fear. You don't have to wake up and hear the news that somebody in your community has unalived because of a bigot or a MAGA going and voting for your human rights, right? That's not.
I don't think you can have a genuine conversation with an op like Cole can.
Oh my lords. Okay, listen. Lucifer, real quick, if you want someone dropped at any point, you just say the word, okay? I have mod powers and hosts will be listening to. You just say the word.
Well, Cole, if you're going, I'm going too.
Cav, I'm speaking. You being disrespected this way is not acceptable. Some people will be like, yeah, I have a tough skin. I've heard worse, even from family, so just let it go. And if you're one of those people, that's fine. But if you are just done with anyone, you say the word, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I know you're sticking up for
Kevin,
Cole.
you're just a sad man, right? You're just a sad man thinking I have emotion. No, it's called being an AFAB person, also a trans person, also having to deal with like both a body autonomy being messed with and taken at the same time.
Or you're just a human.
I really don't know what you have to say because you came in here being disrespectful. I only came up here to try to be nice. Trans people don't owe you.
You disrespected me first.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm
go cry.
Stay on mute, Cav, until we're done.
Nobody actually cares, right? Because trans people don't owe you disclosure, comfort, or coddling. We don't owe you that to you. Why don't you go get coddled by the turfs and the
Feces.
okay, because they're the only ones that are the pick-me's and choose on high emotions and erasing communities that don't deserve it. Why don't you go cry to them? Because I promise you, Stutz knows this. I don't coddle men. Sorry to tell you that, really.
Absolutely. When it's men at that point. Okay. Cav, thank you for listening to me. And staying on mute like you should have. This is how we respect other people on panels that are about the existence of people that we are not a part of that community. You know? That's how we respect them. So thank you, at least for that much.
I was just giving Lucifer the same energy she gave me. Or
I'm not she.
Excuse you?
I don't know, he, she.
They, them. Am I right, Lucifer?
Yeah, it's they, them, he. And you know what? It doesn't really bother me because I'll just sit and laugh at you because guess what? You're just a sad little man that wants to be
I'm
on.
genuinely not doing it on purpose. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm
I
genuinely
don't
like,
care what you have to say. Match the energy because I'll do it 10 times worse and go for the juggler. I really don't think you want to go down that road with me because, like I said, I don't care. All you want to do is be on the transmedicalist and the wrong side. You came in here trying to act like you were gonna be so nice and put the mask on, and I wasn't falling for it. So like if you call this high emotion, I really don't care because at the
you
end
got
of
me
the
wrong, Lucifer.
Hey,
got me
Cav,
wrong.
when trans people are speaking, you will not be, okay?
yeah, like you came in here trying to act like you're here to learn and here to ask questions, but you're off trying to be friends with both sides. You can't be friends on both sides when one is actively harming another community because they think Trump's gonna pick them. I'm sorry, but Kankles McGee is never going to pick them. Okay, they're not safe either, and I'm so sick and tired of people trying to put that mask on. Came up here and called you out, and then you're saying I'm disrespecting you. No, I'm not very disrespectful. I just don't coddle men, and I don't think men should be coddled. I don't even think they should be allowed outside most of the time. I don't think they should be able to vote on motion. But here I am, dealing with you, thinking you would think I'm disrespecting you when you're trying to play on both sides. And I'm telling you, they're gonna catch on very quickly that you're trying to be friends on both sides, and then they're gonna go after you. And what are you gonna call them disrespectful? Or are you still gonna be on your knees for the transmedicalists?
Can I respond? First of all, I'm not trying to be friends with anybody here, right? And these two sides you're speaking to, there is multiple two sides to this, right? There's a whole bunch of division within the trans community and non-binary community themselves of how they define terms, as well as the GC community, right? I'm wouldn't call myself really friends, but there's some parts of the trans community that I do agree with, and I think one of the parts that you may represent or believe is going to be the side that I'm not on the side of, right? So there's not a two-side thing here. There's a whole bunch of divisions of this, of these semantics that we're referring to. And I'm definitely not trying to be anybody's friend here. I'm just trying to have a respectful, genuine conversation about how we should.
That you came in here trying to
Are you allowed to interrupt me, and I'm not allowed to interrupt you?
I mean, yeah, trans people can interrupt you. Sorry to tell you on this topic.
Like,
All right,
really
well,
came in
I'm
here
done here.
trying to be on your knees for GCs. You think I'm gonna be nice to you? You think I'm gonna be, oh, that's okay? No, GCs are the worst thing that ever came in existence, and they're the reason why we still have to fight for our rights because they're investing with everybody in the community. So
What
no, I'm not
rights?
gonna.
Wait,
what
let
rights
them
are you?
finish. Jesus fucking Christ. Once they're done, I'm going to ask you a
Oh my
question.
gosh.
Go ahead, Lucifer.
I just don't. I'm not gonna call you. I'm sorry. You're siding with GCs and pervs. You really think I'm gonna be nice to you? Do you really think that we're doing the harm? No, they're doing much worse. They're telling all the MAGA and the bigots come in spaces that are trans people, especially trans non-binary trans masc people, and to tell them that they're delusional and they are confused and they're not real. We're cross-dressers. That we deserve not to be here breathing anymore. Are you serious? You think I'm gonna be nice to you when you just said that you want to hear from both sides? No, you're just sticking on one side, trying to put on this mask. And I'm sorry, but like I'm calling it out. You're not a safe space for trans trans non-binary people, I'm really gonna call like you are not safe for our community. You were trying to act like, oh, I'm just here to ask, but no, you weren't. That's why I came up here, and I'm sticking up for the person below me. And then you got real. You said I was being disrespectful. No, it's called passion and empathy. You're just being fake. Being fake. Just drop the mask already and stay with the bullshit. You actually weren't here to learn. You're just here to gather whatever information you have to go in the GCs and go. Well, guess what I learned from a trans non-binary person and mock us. Like generally, like I don't think you're here to actually care.
As soon as I joined this live, I made it
Gab, I
clear
said
I'm
I was
not.
going to speak after Lucifer. I said I was going to ask you a question because their questions to you were rhetorical. And then we're going to let the new panelist, Amy, go if they have anything to say right now as well.
Nicole, I made it clear. I made it clear I'm an off.
Cav, my one question for you is, if a trans, for example, masculine person, a trans masculine non-binary person, or a trans man who was born and observed as female at birth, do you think that those people like don't understand that they're still female?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, I just want to be clear that like we know who we are. We know that sex and gender are different, and we know that our sex doesn't align with our gender. That's the whole like definition of being trans. And you've been kind of speaking like we don't accept the fact of who we are, what our sex is, even when we do, which is another reason it's not, in fact, a delusion. So I just wanted to make that clear. Go ahead, Amy.
Oh, hello. I did say in the chat that I wanted to lay out some things before I debated, mostly stuff that might be important for you. The first thing is I'm not a professional. I'm quite literally some unemployed 18-year-old. But this is a topic that I care a lot about. But also, please know that I am autistic. I also have a developmental delay. So if I go silent for a long period of time, it's not that I'm ignoring you or not answering the question. It takes a lot to process what I'm hearing. But I will try to answer as respectfully and as honestly as possible. So what did you leave off on, Cole?
It was me asking Cole that when we were beginning this conversation before Lucifer interjected, she said that she knows she's neither a boy or a girl, right? And I was
Why
asking,
are you still misgendering me after I was clear? Fix it or leave.
So, Cav, why does it matter? I'll just be honest with you. I don't think it matters at the end of the day why they know this. They simply know this, and if you're not going to accept it, we know that causes harm to individuals, and I really simply don't care about your semantics if you're willing to harm people to enforce these semantics. I simply have no fucks to give for anybody who wants semantics over human lives.
Okay, I don't have time for this because every time I'm trying to get through this.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna hear semantics about it because I don't give a fuck when people's lives are at stake.
If I told you I'm a woman because I like to wear a dress, would that be correct?
No.
Okay,
but
I simply don't care about what you think a woman is. If your idea is to cause harm.
Anyway.
If I say I know I'm not a boy or a girl, right? That I would have to I would really have to explain.
Nope. You don't have to explain anything.
What I know about a girl and a boy for me to know I'm neither of those, right?
You wouldn't have to explain shit. And being a boy and a girl or a man and a woman is different in everybody's head. It's subjective because it's a social construct. It also it differs based on the society that you live in. High heels were made for men. Okay?
You just
so
said it right
if you go to those societies, wearing a dress, as you said, or high heels would not be seen as feminine, nor would it be seen as making someone transgender or not. So
how are these societal norms created? How is a social construct created?
sorry, go ahead.
How is a social construct created?
Hold on. Does
So-
it matter? Hold on, Cole.
It does.
Yeah,
I'm
you're right.
just gonna ask. Does it matter when people are being harmed? Like this is
Well,
the
it does, 'cause it goes
it
back
does not
to-
matter. I do not care about any of this stuff because I can provide you statistics and plenty of
External
them
influence.
Have.
that show
What
that
the hell's
people
happening?
not affirming leads to harming these individuals and others. Cisgender people get harmed because of anti-trans policies.
I was about to say, yeah, Cav, are you aware of the harm that's caused? Or do you care? Like, do you want to ask questions? 'Cause we have sources.
Okay.
Also, I'm
where the harm
gonna,
is-
sorry, before you answer that, I know I just asked you a question now. I'm like, don't want to answer it, but just not yet. I want Amy to have an opportunity to, like, finish what they were saying as well and like, present their point, because then I don't think that they ever got to. So I'm going to give the talking stick back to Amy again.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I gotta go. I can't. I don't have time to sit here for this right now. But I follow the host, and maybe I'll try to catch you guys later.
Yeah, catch us again for sure, because it is a long, complex conversation. And Amy, I'm
Alright.
still giving you the talking stick to address it anyway, whether he's here or not.
Yeah. I think he left. I'm sorry, I didn't say much. I was waiting for an open spot to talk because I have a bad issue with accidentally interrupting people. So I try to stay quiet until there's a clear open spot that I can jump in and interject.
That's so fair. If you have any points that you were going to make to Cav, feel free to share them now, because, like I said
I
earlier,
guess
Go
the
ahead.
biggest question I had was when he said that when people coming out, they have to explain why, which in my personal belief, I think it's, why do they need to explain? I think it's a very personal thing, as well as we all have different views of what something is, and so what a woman is to one person may not be the same for another person. So I guess I wanted to ask why he felt that we have to justify our identity to someone.
That's such a fair question. That's so... Yeah, that comes down to, like, self-ID, and you can't read anyone else's minds. You just have to believe them or not, you know? And
I think
he's...
questions, when someone comes out, questions are reasonable, like, especially for someone who may not completely understand, but I think there's a difference of being curious and then basically having to make this person justify themselves
Exactly, being
when it's
disingenuous and
when
digging
it's
in.
something very personal.
Absolutely. That's why I only identify as non-binary, not... Like, I know what my gender identity is specifically under the non-binary umbrella, but I choose not to share that for, like, very good personal reasons. And that being pushed, which, again, is why I'm really glad that Lucifer came up here as well. Again, thank you, dude.
You're welcome. That's why I came in here. I didn't hear the whole conversation, but I was like, it sounds like he's hanging out with GCs, and I was right. Like, it's very easy to call them out. That's why the GCs and trans medicals and the TERFs really hate me, because I could sit in a space, and that's why I came up to call it out, and that's why he left, because he knew that I told him we're not coddling those hateful people. They're the reason why there's so much infighting right now, because
Mhm.
trying to say, the trans non-binary trans masculine people are the problem. No, go over there. And that's why he left, because he wants trans medicals and the TERFs to be coddled, not coddling them.
I absolutely, from my observation, agree. And also, like, I have pretty decent pattern recognition but I'm still relatively new to lives. So I think as I'm on more often, I'll get a better gauge of like who's being disingenuous and who's really curious about things. I think it's easier for me to tell when people are being genuine than rather than them being disingenuous. So I just gotta get more experience with it and work on it a little bit. But hopefully I'll get to Lucifer's level of what kind of radar would that be called?
Well,
Disingenuous radar.
if you listen to the
Disingenuous.
yeah, if you
Hi,
actually
Birdie.
if you actually put it in a turfs or transmedicalist life and you sit long enough, you'll know the talking points, and you'll see people come up here spouting the same thing, but trying to do it in a way you can't catch.
Absolutely. Sorry. I don't know if you got cut off or not. I can mute again if you need to finish. I'm gonna mute the new guest real quick just because they haven't been introduced yet and I want to be able to finish this conversation fluidly.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just saying I've been around the app for a very long time, and that's why I came up here. Because he was doing things like I said, he's gathering information for the GCs. It's very, very dangerous. That's why you never platform people that are friends with them, because they try to gather information about trans people, especially non-binary people. It's very, very dangerous because they try to gather what they can and try to hurt.
Oh, they're brick walls. They're brick walls.
Yeah, isn't it similar? I know this was going on within like the what's it called? Not drama talk, but like I don't know, where they like do call out lives and stuff like that. But they keep documentation of all the information that they have on certain people and share it within like Discords and shit.
Yeah.
And that's fucking terrifying. Like,
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna be on a list at some point just for being who I am, like most other people also know, but like, it is definitely wild to see how that's happening in real time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why I came up here to stop him from questioning you, because I already knew what he was trying to do with you, and I wanted to protect your peace from the GCs. So
Hey,
Thank
Lucifer,
you, dude.
your background audio is kind of horrendous. I'm not gonna lie. I don't mean to be rude, but it's kind of bad at points.
I'm starting to realize that we need to use basic terms and basic words to get through their heads. And a simple way to explain a social construct would be like, social construct would be like when people first came on to like, or first came up to like an orange, one person told somebody this is an orange. Then that person told 2 people that it was an orange. Then those 2 people told 4 people that it was an orange. And then it socially was accepted as an orange.
I love that explanation. That's great.
That's a social construct. They constructed the term for this orange.
Absolutely.
And then obviously things change over time, over the course of our history, with segregation and stuff and all this stuff and how people act and how things happen, we have to change the meaning of stuff because some of things are disrespectful.
yeah, that's only why I came up here, because he was doing questionings, and I'm like, oh no, he's probably gonna do something in a GC way of harming the person below me. So that's why I came.
Yeah, I was kind of trying to like pull the conversation away from you, Cole, just because I saw what was happening, and like I think this is really damning for the more like actual GCs who know what they're talking about. They simply will refuse to have a conversation about what I want to, and it's really damning to them because like they simply can't address it. It is like it looks awful for them. It is something that they have to desperately run away from, because otherwise they just get pounded repeatedly about, oh well, you're causing harm, so why should I listen to you, and like it just defeats the whole argument.
Yeah, and also, again, my autistic ass doesn't have the as much of a sensitive gauge as y'all's is for these kinds of things. At least Keaton, just shoot me a message. Let me know that that's what you suspect to be happening, and I'll be more in the loop about it.
Like I said, you'll pick up on it more. Try to like decode secret talk, and that's what I'm up here to stop him. Out who he was gonna definitely try to harm you in a DC conversation. That's why I came up to like completely stop him from doing that. But it's easy to like do it. You'll see when you try to ask them something, instead of like answering directly, they try to be like, "Oh, but what were you? Who you date? What's your name?" Like, you'll pick it up the more that you're in trans or in other spaces. You'll see that they try to decode it so you don't catch it as easily. That's why I came up here to protect your peace from it.
Yeah, thank you. Astrid said, Amy, I love you. I'm gonna mute you, or you can mute yourself real quick, just because of background noise. I love you. Seriously, I'm not doing that because of anything other than the background noise. But Astrid said sea lining, and I need to look more into these different like types of talking points and rhetoric that people come up with, so that I can understand it better as well. Like I just need to invest a little bit of time into researching these things, so that I'm making sure I'm protecting myself from them. But yeah, that's all. You can unmute again. It's totally okay.
Yeah.
But if you're doing something and I'll be unmuted shortly. Heard. Love you. People just keep asking bad faith questions, like the guy the other day. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
A lot
I'm
of
just
them-
my autism.
Cool. So a lot
Sorry.
of them just kind of like they're like, we're just asking questions, and it's
We're just
framed.
curious.
Yeah, it's framed in this really like innocent way, and they keep doing it, and they won't accept evidence. It's really quite evil, actually. It's a really horrific way to do it. Like it's really clever in some regards, but like yeah, it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly why I requested up to protect Cole's peace.
Lucifer, you're one of my favorite people tonight, at least. I sent your friend request, so feel free to act on that as you please, even if it's denying it.
No,
but
don't worry, I'll accept it. But yeah, I came up here because I saw what he was doing, and I was like, nope, Cole's gonna get a bunch of GCs in a space where you can't protect yourself. So I had to stop it from your peace, because trust me, they are not very peaceful people, and they definitely do not like non-binary people, and that's why I felt like I called it out as it is. He was trying to wear a mask to where you felt comfortable enough to share whatever, and then he goes running back to the GCs and hurt you. So I was like, nope, I'm not letting that happen, because I've been around too long for to see that they're trying to attack somebody that does not know the secret decoding to harm them.
Absolutely. Again, I know I've said thank you like 2 or 3 times already, at least, but understanding it better now, thank you. Like, sincerely. I love that, and I know there are, like, TERFs that are gay and all that shit, but generally, most of the people in the the 2S LGBTQIA plus community are very, like, protective of each other. We can typically clock when someone isn't understanding what's happening or needs, like, an assist, if you will. And I really appreciate you for keeping an eye out for that and then acting upon it when it was necessary. So, yeah.
Of course, like I said, when you are around spaces more, you'll generally pick it up. You don't have to like pick it up, but you'll see what they're doing more and more. That if they're in the space, you'll see it. they try to hide it, but you'll see it more and more and more because they try to, like I say, get something out of you to harm you, and then they don't like it when somebody else comes up and be like, "Yeah, no, you're lying, and you're not actually safe." And then he was crashing out on me because he knew I was calling him out for not being a safe space.
Absolutely. It's so funny how they immediately crumble when they're actually being called out on their bullshit. Also, hi, Ender. And then what else was I gonna say? Hang on, give me 2 seconds to try and remember.
Can we introduce Tiger Lilies so they can
Yeah, I
yeah.
think I forgot anyways. So yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen you up here for a while. Hi, Tiger Lily.
Hi, my name is Lily. I use she, her pronouns, male to female trans. I just want to say hi to everybody and support everybody. I just got home from work. How was everybody's night?
Does host want to start?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'll start. It's been going good. I don't know. It's been I don't know how long we'll end up going, but yeah, it's been going good so far.
Amy, how have you been? How's your night been?
It's been good. I ended up sleeping all day, if that's anything. I woke up not like an hour, like not even an hour ago. Sorry for background noise. I'm outside. They want me to take out the trash.
That's okay. Astrid, as an honorable mention, said my night was gay, and I fully support that. Okay, Lily, we don't know how your night was, and I personally am curious, so do you mind sharing?
It was pretty good. Work went really fast today. I got out on time and it was extremely good today.
That's awesome to hear. Also, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right, Lucifer, it's your turn.
Well, I'm always making Mogs mad. If you don't know what that is, that's Ban of God. They are very hateful of me because of my name in private files, but I've been dealing with a lot of chaos, and to make it better, I come up and make men mad or the turf mad, and then it just lightens my soul when they crash out and then stumble. I'm like,
Alright.
brings me so much joy of my soul if I had one.
If I had one. So, y'all just gotta snore. That's a rare occasion. Anyway.
I totally understand why people hate men after all the stuff I've taught. Like just talking with people, holy shit, we're awful. Like 90% of the time. Like most of us are fucking, oh my god. Yeah. So I totally get it. Just I'm not a bad person.
Thank you for asking, Lily. My night, let me think. It's been pretty typical, but that's kind of a good thing. I like my routines for sure. Being able to keep them was good. I did PT today. I'm chilling and medicating, or gardening, which more of you may know what I mean by that. Which is my pain meds. So that's typically the case for me. But yeah, overall, it's been a pretty good night. And then Keaton was like, I'm live. And I was like, cool. You know, Keaton, that I'm typically here for these things. Because not unlike Lucifer, I do enjoy getting to lay into a GCR2. Oh my god, Lucifer. I don't know if you have Discord, just because it might be easier to send it there or somewhere else other than TikTok. But I have a clip of me last night. Somebody had said, "What are you, his bitch?" about me to Keaton. And I asked Keaton in Discord if I could be the one to drop him. Then I asked how his day was and how he was doing. And then I dropped him after he got 2 words out and said, "You're my bitch." So that was really entertaining. Like, we don't care, dude. So, yeah, I can send you clips if you're interested. Sorry, I ramble.
No,
My day has been good. My night has been good.
No, you're
Can I ask what is everybody's pronouns?
Personally, I don't use any, but I guess you can use they.
I'm they, them, he.
They, them over here, and then Keaton.
I'm just he, him. I'm just a guy.
I'm just a guy.
I'm pretty simple here.
Does anyone play D&D here?
I do. I played on Saturday, and it was. I felt it was a lot less awkward. My first few sessions were awkward. I didn't know how to play my character really, but this session was a lot better. I also got to buy my character a quarterstaff, so I'm pretty happy about that. My character is well, they're a homebrew race. They're a ratkin, so like a humanoid rat, and they're a life cleric.
Nice. I have never played D&D. I would love to. My girlfriend played it like a couple of times, and she wants to get into a game. And I had the idea of maybe hosting a game on like TikTok Live.
I feel like that would be so fun. Sorry, go ahead, Lucifer.
I don't know how to play, but my cousins are deeply into the card game Magic. One day they asked me if I wanted to play, and I was like, okay, I guess I don't want to really babysit so short. I sat there. As soon as I sat there, I swear to you, it was like listening to Trump mumble. I did not understand what was going on anymore. I was like, I don't know what you just said, for sure. Whatever that is.
That's how I feel about a lot of card games. I think the only card game I understand even a little is Pokemon. But I only play it on my phone because they have an app where you can have digital Pokemon cards. So it's great. I love Pokemon gambling.
I recently watched a video about the Swedish. So there's a Swedish company that made like kind of something similar to Pokemon on PC, but it was Swedish, and one of their monsters' name was Butt God, like literally Butt God. Like you can't make this shit up.
Oh my lord. Lily, if you do end up streaming D&D, let me know, because I've been interested in RPGs for I was probably like early in my teenage years when I wanted to learn, but it was always, we're in the middle of the campaign, maybe like the next one, but I wouldn't want to just show me how it worked before I knew how it worked, if that makes sense. So I'd love to be able to even just watch, because I'll learn a lot just by watching.
Absolutely.
I do not understand. I don't think it's meant for my brain, and I can't sit still for the life of me. That's why I was trying to like.
Relatable.
I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, I need to move around. I can't. The cards. I feel like what is just. I don't know. I don't know. A lot of people in my life think I might be just ADHD at this moment, because like I can't focus when it's something that I don't like. So I'm always I'm standing up and walking around. I'm like, I don't, well, guys, like this is generally hurting my brain. You guys just like confused me. I feel like this game right here it makes me feel like I need to go back to class. Like, guys, I'm not.
Yeah, again, I think it will be like, because I'm ADHD and autistic, I think it will be a longer like learning curve for me. But the way I start out learning typically is just by watching. And you get the hyper focus of ADHD mixed with like potential special interest material here, and the focus is unreal. Even if I'm like running around the room while we're playing, like I have to move a lot too. I have to stim a lot of the times. But it would be a way for me to start learning. So yeah, I just love the idea of it, I guess. And I'd love to learn sometime.
Yeah, I tried my hardest to learn. I was sitting there. It's so funny because my cousin is just. He likes to say he just has 2 brain cells and one's just like fighting for last place. And then I sit there and I'm hearing him just talk. And I'm like, what did you just say? I don't even know what you just said right now. He's like, yeah, you have to roll this and add this and do this. And I'm like, you know what, at this point, I'd rather just go take a nap, because what do you mean I have to do all of this? This right here is a nightmare. I can't.
Lots of steps and lots of patience.
I do not have patience. As you could tell, is that I am.
Genuinely, I was a person who would say the same thing about myself. And when it was framed to me that patience is not a noun, like having patience is it's a verb. It's something that you practice. It's something that you do regardless of like how your brain feels while you're trying to be patient, if that makes sense. Oh, hey Edna. Sorry.
Edna, no.
Literally.
That's
so
I would
fair,
have debated
Nate.
them, but yeah. Oh,
No,
are they gone?
my soul.
Already? Let me try to see if I can invite them up.
Oh no!
You can drop if you want to, Lucifer.
Edna is the worst
I feel
transmedicalist person. They generally hurt my soul. I can't.
I would
They are
just
very
hold their feet to the prompt and just let them burn on it. Because I don't
Honestly,
think there's a
hi,
way
Izzy.
out of it. It's just damning if you hold their feet to it. You're like, is that a pivot? No. You answer the prompt. Yeah.
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 Izzy, I see you a lot in our comments, which I love. I think I added you. Yes, okay. Just thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the live. I just want to say that real quick. Oh, mod break. Tap the screen if you enjoy these conversations, even if you are opposition. Share the live as well. These things help us continue to bring in traffic and continue these conversations. Thank you.
Yeah, the Nova gets it. I will sit. And that's just, oh god, if you understand Cole, you generally would sit here and just start screaming, because like I know they just shared it to their backup or their minions of GCs or their turfs. So I would be very careful on that, because they're very, very harmful people. So they just shared it.
I've basically deep cleansed my TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch of any like personal information after I realized that like there's actually people who would like track you down and be an asshole like that. So I'm just like, I'll clean it just in case for that.
Yeah,
so.
I was already being stalked by an ex, as some of you know. So this isn't my name, like I don't have any personal information, or do I have videos posted? What's the other thing I was gonna say? Oh yeah. I think Keen and I were talking about this the other day, that Nate just really doesn't have an argument, if that makes sense. Just a lot of thoughts and opinions. So there's really no winning when they're not really, like, I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway.
Do you know if there's any more opposition next in line?
No, there's not.
Sorry, I didn't get to speak to opposition last time. And I don't know when I have to leave, so by the time I leave, I might not get to speak to any. If you guys are still live when I get back, hopefully I can hop back on.
Oh, we might actually. Hey,
You have
Elor,
the
can
floor,
I,
Amy.
can I get your age and pronouns, please?
Hi, I'm 34 and I'm she, her.
Do you disagree with the prompt?
Honestly, I find the prompt a little bit confusing.
So the
I'm being
general
honest.
point that I'm trying to make here is that I don't think that people who are against trans people have an argument at all, especially when you look at two things. They often frame it in the sense that they are trying to protect people, but at the same time, there's a profound failure to comprehend the fact that non-affirmation leads to transgender and cisgender individuals being harmed. And
Can
I
you,
have never heard any sort of response for this at this point.
when you say cisgender people, can you elaborate on that a little bit, please?
So people who have a conformity between their sex assigned at birth and their gender. So this would be people who were assigned, like myself. I'm cisgender. I was assigned male at birth, and I identify as a man.
Okay.
I am not transgender or non-binary. I'm
Okay.
cisgender. Cis means it is Latin for
No,
basically
I
like
understand what
okay.
I understand what cisgender means. I just didn't really understand why you included cisgender people in your prompt.
Oh, well, because cisgender people are also being harmed because some people actually just don't care about transgender people at all. So like it is the very last plea to saying, hey, maybe because cisgender people get hurt too, maybe they'll have a heart to listen.
Okay. Okay. I suppose my stance, and this is just my stance, I just want to make it very clear that I'm not trying to step on other people's feelings, thoughts, and emotions. I believe that gender affirming care can be quite harmful because hormones, especially, like if you're just going to identify as trans and not have any sort of intervention other than therapy, which I think is really important for people that do have gender dysphoria and things like that. But if you're going to, explore other avenues like hormones or surgery, I do think that it's harmful to that person in general.
I am
Why
sorry.
would you say that? Oh,
Really,
sorry.
yeah, really quickly, I want to let Amy go if they have any points because they don't know how long they'll. Sorry, cataplexy. They don't know how long they'll be here.
Okay.
I am curious. Why do you believe it's harmful? Like, how is it harmful to the individual, if I may ask?
So from what I've researched, and as somebody who has a friend that's detransitioned, hormones that, so let's just say, for example, you're a biological woman and you want to take testosterone and things like that, it can be very, very harmful to your internal organs, to your feminine organs. It can even put people into it can generate osteoporosis because those hormones, the high level of opposite hormones don't belong in our bodies, and it can be very detrimental to our overall health. And like I said, as somebody who has a friend that was trans and who's
Don't do
detransitioned,
that. Please don't do that.
but I do.
Tokenization isn't great.
But I
Let's
do.
avoid
Even though
Laura. Let's avoid anecdotes and stick to peer-reviewed sources. Okay?
Yeah, like, are you gonna deny kids, like girls, young girls who need gender affirming care for period pains? Are you gonna be like, nah, you can't do that? Cis people been using doing gender affirming care longer than trans people. And as soon as we do the same thing, then you guys are like crying about it. You're just like, well, it does this, it does that. Well, guess what? That's between a doctor and a patient. If you're not their doctor, then you have no say what the person's doing with their body. Because at the same time, I'd rather see my trans siblings and nibblings alive than be buried under the ground because they're being denied their health care, right?
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because as a cis woman who identifies as a cis woman, I have PCOS and endometriosis. So I've had what you would call gender affirming care. I don't call it gender affirming care. I call it immediate care that I needed because it was symptomatic of my body, not of my mental health. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful, but generally speaking, when we're talking about gender affirming care, it comes from the mind before it.
I know, I actually say it's lies, right? Because there's too many of the people in the trans community that have lost their life because, you know, they're being denied treatment. And some of them are.
But what treatment are we talking about here?
Laura, a trans person was speaking. Allow them to finish.
You gotta understand, right? A parent is trying to save their kid's life. And the more you ban stuff, you're going to make that parent bury their child because cis people are listening to Trump and his lies. Instead of doing the research or talking to trans people, they rather believe a lie than actual data, trusting doctors with their license, trusting that doctor knew that child since they were born, and listening when a child's saying, hey, I have this pain for a very long time, I can't look at myself. Gender dysphoria is very, very painful. Not a lot of people know how painful it can be for a trans person. So when a doctor is doing these things, they're saving that person's life. They're saving a parent from burying their child. We are losing too many people because of Trump. And I'm sick and tired of people being like, well, it does this to the body. Well, surgery and medications all have side effects, but people do it, right? Because you gotta save your life. So you have to take the risk of, do you want a parent having their child still be here, or would you rather them bury their child and not have their child around?
So again, I think there is an argument to be had here. When you're talking about life-saving care, it's usually because there is something wrong that needs to be fixed, so that you have surgery or you have intervention medically, and you go on to live a healthier life, or maybe even you have to have secondary or other surgeries. But when we're talking about gender affirming care, when we're talking about trans people, there is a big majority of trans people that do not go through these medical procedures or medical interventions. and therapy and no, that is true.
No, that's
That
not
is
what.
true.
Listen, okay,
That-
Laura,
that
I
is
have to
true.
interject. You are, I believe, and we don't necessarily have studied on this, but I believe you are correct in that most trans people do not have gender dysphoria to the degree that they would need medical gender affirming care. Okay? What I was gonna say, you said that like your PCOS and endometriosis earlier, you said that those were like physically harmful, therefore they needed immediate attention. But with trans people, you think that it's different because it's in their brain. We can literally show you study after study after study of people who have tried to convince children growing up that they were not the gender that they are, and it never works. So other than trying to align the brain with the body, you are suggesting that you would like to, rather than aligning the body with the brain, you are suggesting that we should align the brain with the body somehow, and there's no way that's ever been shown that that works. So, like, if you think that's good, says more about you. But if you have sources, please, like, bring those as well.
I mean, again, it's hard to
I'm going to
get
interject
these
here,
sort of.
Cole, real quick.
Sorry. Can I just
There is no
answer
evidence
her
suggest
question?
that conversion
Yeah.
therapy works, because otherwise Zucker would have given it by now. There simply is no information to suggest that some
I
sort
was
of
just
conversion
going to say
therapy
the same.
works. Yeah.
I was just going to say the same, and especially, I don't know if anybody has looked recently, but when we look at the conversion rate of people identifying as trans, a lot of it happened in 2020 when we were all locked down, and
That's
now
not
in
true.
2020
That's
No, I-
irrelevant as
no.
well.
I
It's
have
it's
I-
entirely irrelevant, Laura. Move on to
But,
valid
sorry,
points.
Trans
listen,
individuals
sorry,
have
I just-
existed for many, many, many years. If you look into queer history, it goes back way far. It's even surprising how
So
far
actually,
it goes
it
back.
became
Laura,
it became
someone
quite
else is
popular
Laura,
in the 70s.
Laura. Somebody else was speaking. Please let them finish.
I wanted to answer what they were saying.
Laura.
You don't need to
I
speak to me
do.
like I'm a child.
Laura. Go ahead, Amy.
You don't need to
I
speak
do
to me
have.
like I'm a
I
child.
do want to touch on something you said earlier. I know we're kind of backtracking, but it was something I wanted to say, but the conversation kind of moved, so I apologize. But after this, you said that gender affirming care is harmful, but as a lot of people in the chat pointed out, you do realize that every medication comes with risks. I mean, like, even my birth control comes with risks, especially with my medication I take with mental health. There was a risk for sorry, words are very hard. It came with the risk with my respiratory system, and that it could cause issues with my heart. And so all medication comes with risks, and I don't think that means that medication is harmful. I just think that it should be taken into consideration when starting something. Because, sorry, I may be wrong, so if I am wrong, call me out on it. But saying that gender affirming, like hormones, like testosterone and estrogen, as well as surgeries, that is kind of, to me, the same thing as saying, like, oh, well, Benadryl could be dangerous because of these XYZ side effects. And I mean, everything has its risks, and I don't think we should. Oh, sorry, someone's at my door. I'll let someone fill in for me.
Yeah, you're all right, Laura. Thank you. You're all right, Amy. So,
Hey, Cole, we do have to let Op speak, to be fair.
okay.
Yeah, I have been muted quite a few times, and
I tried to be. I'm not
Twice. Twice is quite a few times. Sorry.
three.
Go
It was
ahead.
three. It was three, but when I understand what Amy's saying, because obviously we take risks when we take any medications, but when it comes to
I got something to say here. As a
Okay, go
trans,
ahead.
why have I just been muted again?
It wasn't me.
That was Astrid. I don't know why Astrid did.
So I was trying to answer Amy. I know that she's not here, but I was trying to answer what she said. When it comes to, medicines, yes, there are some risks. But when it comes to life-saving medication like asthma, like inhalers, when it comes to like Benadryl, like she said, if you're having an anaphylactic response to something that you're allergic to, that is life-saving care. So that's very different. When I talk about
no, it's
hormones,
not. I'm sorry. I'm going to weigh in now. I've been trying to weigh in for a while here. As a trans girl, before I came out, I was very suicidal. I even crashed my car. So these medication is life-saving to a trans person.
okay.
Yeah, so I can actually back this up too, is that it is life-saving in the same way that like chemotherapy is life-saving to somebody who has cancer, actually. Because it promotes the better life outcomes, it reduces the risk of death.
I mean, as somebody who lost their mum a year ago from cancer, it's not always life-saving, but
It's not
I get
always,
what you're
but
saying.
I said it decreases the risk of death.
Yes, it does, but again, like chemotherapy, and yes, it can be long term. Like I wouldn't say long term. I'd say if you have stage 1, 2, 3 cancer, yes, chemotherapy can be a life-saving drug. But if you're just doing it to prolong your life, it's like the lesser of two evils because it is poisoning your body. So again, when I talk about I just need to get this out. When I'm talking about gender affirming care, you're talking mainly about young people. You're talking mainly about people in their 20s, 30s. And yes, there are older people as well. But when you're talking about somebody who's going to be on hormones for the rest of their life, okay, and you're talking about biologically where those hormones would not normally be, and this is just me being overly cautious, I suppose. I don't have gender dysphoria. I don't know what it's like to not want to be in the body that you were born in, and have the desperation to change it. But what I'm saying is, long term, even just hormones are quite detrimental to the body. Like I said, especially in women, it can cause osteoporosis, brittle bones, and again. Although we have the feeling of, or somebody may have the feeling of dysphoria, I think replacing that with a opposite hormone can also cause even more confusion.
Keaton, please shut me down if I'm in the wrong here. But this is a lot of misinformation. And usually I interrupt for misinformation.
Yeah, go ahead. I know that
So-
Mr. wants to say something too.
Yeah. And you're familiar with like bone density.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it
and
enough to
stuff
know
like
that it doesn't cause osteoporosis in kids and stuff like. If you're, it
It
depends on what
can
you're talking about.
in women.
Laura, someone else is speaking. Go ahead, Keaton.
I said it can in women.
Laura.
So yeah, but women are just naturally more likely to have osteoporosis due to lower bone densities.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
So
I just
Laura,
want to say this.
Laura,
I don't know what your
I'm
name
gonna-
is,
Laura,
Cole,
Laura,
but you keep telling me.
Laura, I am gonna correct your misinformation, and then you can speak. That's how it's gonna go. We have comparable bone densities to our cisgender counterparts, meaning that trans men have comparable bone densities to cis men, and that trans women have comparable bone densities to cis women, and we have proof for that, or evidence of this. So unless you have a source, I need you to stop spreading misinformation, please, and thank you.
I'm not spreading misinformation.
I
This is
just
you are.
explained this to you.
Okay,
Just
but you're
drop it
interrupting
then.
me
Drop
now.
that topic.
You're interrupting me now.
Indeed.
And I understand if you're a friend of the host or whatever, but you keep telling me not to interrupt other people, but you're more than happy to interrupt me. So I don't know if
You can
is it because I'm
Laura.
a cis woman that you can interrupt me because I'm not quite up to what other people are on this panel?
That's
Laura.
hysterical.
'Cause
Listen,
that's
Laura,
how it feels.
Laura, if you know that somebody else is speaking misinformation and you can provide evidence for it, feel free to interrupt every single one of us if that ends up being the case. Also, Lucifer was raising their hand in the comments. I don't know if they still have something to say, but it's not so that you can't speak. It's just so that all 5 of us up here can speak.
No, I understand that, but you keep telling me.
If host determines that you should be allowed a chance to respond, that's totally fine. I'm gonna let
Right, but
Keaton do his thing
you
and
do
moderate
keep
his own
telling
line.
me. You do
Also,
keep
your
telling me
gender
to
has
stop my
nothing to
mouth.
do with us calling you out. I hope you know
No,
that.
no.
Period.
It's
Thank
not
you,
about calling
Amy.
me out.
I just
You keep
laughed. I
saying
just
no.
had to
I've
do
heard
it.
her say to me, "Oh, sorry, I don't know if you're a he, her. Sorry, I do apologize."
Which one of us?
You.
Ask then.
What are your pronouns?
They, them. Thank
Okay,
you for asking.
They continue to say, Laura, a trans person is talking. You've said it many times. So I've stopped talking because I am respectful. Okay. And I understand that you think I'm spreading misinformation, but this is information that I have researched myself. And I'm not trying to spread any misinformation. I am just telling you what I know as a person that has researched this myself and also has a friend, like I said, who was trans and is now detransitioned and is also experiencing a lot of mishaps and
We are sorry for
general
them, to
health
be clear.
issues because of their transition, and they did this prepubescent.
So I'm just gonna bring you through some statistics just so we can have an idea of actually like how rare this is.
Can you tell me where the stats come from, just so I can have a look at them
Yeah,
myself?
so I can.
Okay, thank you.
There's a number of things that we can actually look at when it comes down to like transition rates, and they're not. There's some huge like fundamental flaws in a lot of them. It depends on what you're looking at to begin with, but like a lot of like some of the early ones talk about like if you see rates as high as like 80% detransitioning, there's some very big things that generally are done here. Either it's they're changing the classification from beginning to end, and or changing like so some of the studies too will also like if they started out with like 50 people at the beginning and then they 5 years later they were only able to get a hold of 20% of them. A lot of this research will take these 30 people, not throw them out of the study completely, but they'll just say, oh, they detransitioned clearly.
Yeah,
like
I understand what you're saying.
Throw them away, and it's not a good way to do it.
The stats are incorrect because they haven't got the right data.
Yeah, and this is actually like a good majority of it, so it's really hard to get this. A lot of them don't actually diagnose people with things such as gender dysphoria, or actually really look at the in-depth things. What they also don't like usually take into account if the lack of gender dysphoria is because of like them getting gender affirming care. But one thing I do know for a fact too is that when people do get gender affirming care, it's got really quite low regret rates.
Yeah,
I can see that
Lauren,
because
you're
I
not
think that
understanding the harm you're spreading. To be honest, as a trans person myself, it's kind of
I'm
getting
not
really frustrating.
I'm not trying to spread any harm. Just
You are
FYI.
though. You are though.
But that's
Is it open?
Laura, even
Sorry.
if you aren't trying to, you are. Listen to trans folks when they're telling you about your behavior towards them. Please.
But all I have, and I will be very honest here, I have not said that I don't believe in trans people. I've not said one offensive thing. All I have said is that if you personally
right now.
transition, no, please hear me
You're
out.
outing your trans friend to 22 strangers online. That is very, very dangerous because someone in your area will go harm them.
Why
I need
is
you
it
to stop
dangerous?
because you're outing them to bigots. I'm gonna not try to get this life bad.
I'm confused
Or
by
rich.
what you mean.
Being
You
successful.
literally keep trying to give details about your friend to 22 strangers online. That's so dangerous. I need to stop because
Sorry, whoever is typing,
Sorry,
I
that's
can't
me.
hear what you're saying.
Yeah, sorry.
I didn't hear any of that, so I apologize. Sorry, could you start again?
I said you're outing your friend to 22 strangers online. Did they even give you permission or consent to share their story to people that you don't know?
My friend, who I've not shared a name or a
doesn't matter.
location.
You're on the internet.
Of course it matters. No one's going to know who I'm talking about.
Do you realize people in your area might be listening?
No
You're
one
not-
who in my area is going to be listening. I had a look at the bloody chat before I came in. There was 13 people on this chat when I came in. Nobody.
This is the why I'm saying you don't care.
It's not that I don't care.
You're outing your friend with little bits and pieces to 22.
The only thing I have said, I've said no names, no locations. It doesn't. No, because you are conflating that I've basically
you're
told
on the internet. And
the internet that my next door neighbor. This could be somebody that I've met halfway across the world.
It doesn't matter.
Of course it does, because you just
a
said.
trans person. You are outing a trans person.
I'm not outing anyone.
They did not give you consent to disclose who they are as a person.
Again, Laura, you are being a great example of somebody who does not want to listen to trans voices and talks over them.
Wow.
So just know you're saying more about yourself than you are about us.
I'm confused because I am not against trans people.
But you're
not
outing
once.
your trans friend.
I could be lying. You have no idea.
Yeah,
I don't have no idea who I'm speaking
trans
about.
person. Are you serious right now? If I was your friend and I told you, hey, I'm trans, and then you go on the internet and telling people bits and pieces of me that I didn't consent to, I would drop communication right now and I would never ever talk to you because
why would you be ashamed of being trans? And why would you be ashamed of being trans?
No, that's not being ashamed. You're sharing somebody else's journey without them being here or giving.
You don't know that I have consent, so you can't say.
Do you have consent, Laura?
Of course I do.
I doubt that.
I
Wow.
also highly doubt
that.
that.
You think that says more about you than it does about me.
No, you can't.
Of
you can't
course
use
it does.
polls,
Of course it does. That means that you're untrusting. You are untrusting of people that don't agree with you.
No, because I'm a trans person.
So?
I don't want this to spiral. I don't want this to spiral. But this kind of the points that you're bringing up that you're tokenizing an individual is problematic.
I'm not tokenizing anybody.
I mean, you're using it, so. Actually, this is actually something that I read in. There's there's a study published by Newark et al. An international study of transgenderism back in 2018, and it brings up some interesting points that if you consider yourself at any point you're cis, despite if you ever question your gender or considered yourself trans, But if you're trans, on the other hand, you must be completely unwavering in your gender, or you'll never be taken seriously. And not only will you not be helped, you might be used as a token, or used as an argument for why trans or queer people are deviant. And this is something that I've seen time and time again, and we can see this in things such as like trans broken arm syndrome, where medical healthcare providers discriminate against trans people or wrongly attributes them symptoms to their just being transgender, and it causes these people harm. So it's the idea that we have to be that trans people have to be unwavering, or that people detransition who weren't even completely what I would consider like trans, in the sense that they are, sure about this entirely. I simply find that just not the same thing because cis people don't have to.
Do you not
do
think
the
it's
same thing.
harmful?
You can let them speak.
Do you not think that it's harmful with what your panel has said to me, that I'm tokenizing and that I am unfeeling and that I'm transphobic? Do you not think that that can be harmful to me as a person who is very understanding of other people and has empathy for other people? Do you not think that that could be harmful to me as an individual?
Can I answer that, Stowe, or do you want to?
I'll say something quick. It might be harmful to you in some regards, and I don't want to push it.
So that's okay,
harmful,
is it?
But here's
Hey,
the thing:
let him finish.
the harm upon transgender people is significantly more than just the social backlash of being told that you're transphobic or something like that. It is often quite literally the difference in between getting like on a social level, anytime that people are tokenizing trans people and saying, oh well, this maybe we need to be cautious about this, it just puts another wall between trans people and getting the help that they actually need and deserve. We don't put these same roadblocks up for cis people, so why on earth do we put them up for trans people?
Well, nobody's put any roadblocks up
Can
for
I
me.
respond? Keaton or Laura, can you sorry, ask the question again, because ADHD brain forgot, but I had something important to say.
You mean the question I just asked?
Yeah, that's so just responded to.
So I've been called. I've been called.
I remember now.
Yeah.
Sorry to interject, but I do remember now. Do you think that how do I want to phrase this? Do you think that the mental and emotional damage to you from being called these things, which I don't think any of us have called you transphobic so far, but regardless, if other people have as well, do you think that that harm that you I didn't want to say harm, because it's really just like,
well,
your
you told
feelings
me.
let me finish. It's really just your feelings are hurt. Do you think that harm is worse than what trans people experience in society just by simply existing?
So you told me.
Yes or no?
No,
start,
sorry.
yes.
I need to answer it more than a yes or no.
Well, you can, but yes or no first is what I'm saying.
Well, you told me I'm harmful towards trans people.
Yes or no first is what I asked for.
So yes, I do believe that you can harm me as much as you can harm a trans person, because I am
not as much as, but as much as we actually are being harmed. Does that make sense?
So again, I can't answer for somebody that's trans because I don't know what. Although I can semi see what. No, I can't. I can't. I think that it comes down to how we feel. Again, I think that when you feel a different gender, it's about your feelings.
It's about
and then,
identity, who we
So
are,
again-
not how we feel.
So do you want to know
so
what
again,
the
your
symmetry breaker
identity is a
between this?
feeling.
So here's
It's
the
not a
thing.
feeling.
When I
course
say
it
that somebody's
is.
transphobic, I don't mean that they necessarily hate trans people. Just that they you don't really think that they exist or that it's preferable to be cisgender. But I really don't think this way of thinking is any better than actually just hating trans people. Because it's not believing that trans people exist simply dehumanizes them. It's taking away their agency. It's effectively taking away their life.
Exactly,
Some people
Laura.
really hate trans
So
people.
I really do understand
Let
what
the
you're
host
saying.
finish real quick.
Some people really do hate trans people. And even those who don't, they can't mourn somebody they don't believe exists.
But
Absolutely. And
I
then my
completely
question for
agree.
you, Laura, my question for you is, do you think your stance is harmful to trans people, or do
No,
you think it's not? No.
no, I
Okay.
don't.
Good to know.
I don't. And the reason why is because I am one person's opinion. The only reason why I feel the way I feel is because I think it's more harmful to do, like I've explained, to change somebody's body, I feel is harmful. And I understand that you have a completely different perspective, but I don't understand why you can't accept mine.
On that note, do you think that girls and women getting breast augmentations or reductions is harmful?
No.
But you think that trans people doing the same exact thing is?
So when you're talking about women having breast reductions, generally speaking, a trans person would not have have their breast chopped off if they weren't on hormones.
That's misinformation.
That is absolutely not true.
My mom did.
That is wild.
My mom did.
Okay, is your mum trans?
No.
So your mum had her breast chopped off,
Yes.
but was probably going through menopause to have estrogen, which is a female
No, she
hormone,
wasn't
right?
going through
You are
menopause.
so uneducated on this.
She
Sorry.
had this little thing
So
called
you're
breast
very,
cancer.
you're very
She had this little thing
Sorry.
called breast
It's very-
cancer and had to have a double mastectomy done. And I wouldn't consider that as like harmful in any way. It literally was life-saving care to chop her breast off.
You also saying that, well, sorry, I wanted to interject for a while because I had something to say about something you previously said, but the conversation moved forward. But you do realize that people can have their breasts removed for like a variety of reasons. They could have their breasts removed from breast cancer. They could have their breasts removed for medical reasons. And it can even be like breast augmentation. It is a cosmetic reason. Some women who want to affirm their gender or just want to look a certain way will get their breasts enlarged or have them smaller. People have their breasts removed for a larger variety of reasons, and even for life-saving reasons. And to imply that breast removal is a trans thing or
So
is
I'm
not
not an
life-saving.
idiot. I understand.
Laura, you don't have the talking stick. Wait for Amy to finish, please.
I know, but Amy repeated herself twice, so I just wanted to.
If I did repeat myself twice, I apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize, Amy. I just want to make it very clear. I lost my mum a year ago because my mum had a very female cancer. My mum had stage 4 ovarian cancer. My mum had to have a full hysterectomy, oophorectomy, have everything removed, and she still died. So I completely know what gender affirming care can be to a woman that has cancer. I'm not an idiot. It's a lived experience for me.
I'm sorry, I did not mean to imply that you were an idiot. I was just trying to.
You didn't do anything.
No, that
wrong,
was
Amy.
Cole. I'm sorry. That's all I can see from your name.
That's fine. So, I was gonna say something and I forgot what it was. God damn it.
I would like to take the time to speak on something that was brought up earlier, if that is okay.
Well, I'm gonna let Astrid go first, just because she's at work, so she
Right.
doesn't have as much time. But after that, absolutely,
All right.
I might drop. I'm not sure yet. Just because my attention's kind of divided. But yeah, if I have anything to say, I'll add.
Hello, Laura. I've been wanting to ask you this. Good night. Sorry, ignore that. For a while. Good night. Do you think that only women have estrogen?
No.
You've said several times that, like,
It's a predominant
it's the
female
wrong
hormone.
I had higher estrogen than testosterone before I was on HRT.
I have
That's
higher
apparently a common thing.
testosterone. And I'm very much female. I have high
Why are you
testosterone.
interrupting people still? I
Sorry?
don't get it.
Because I'm an asshole, that's why. Sorry. But yeah, no, I have higher testosterone than estrogen. I have PCOS, endometriosis. That's why I have higher testosterone. And when I go through menopause, I will have to have estrogen.
Did
So
you just
we're
acknowledge
on the
that
same
you
meds
interrupted
then.
Astrid and then continue on? What on earth? Am I tripping? Astrid, please go ahead. I'm gonna mute Laura. Please stay on mute until Astrid is finished.
Like, my main thing was, well, other than your just cookie cutter turf talking points, was that you kept talking like estrogen was like only a woman thing or like a female thing. Like, you're making it sound like a very cut and dry, what do you call it when it's two poles, not bimodal, different thing.
Binary,
Can't remember the word.
black and white.
Binary, yes. Like, it's not. Sex is not. Gender is not. And, like, that's my whole thing.
I agree. But I think that over 90% of the time, you can tell a man from a woman, and it's generally to do with their hormones and their sex organs. That was my only point.
No.
I wasn't trying to say 100% of the time women are women and 100% of the time men are men, because obviously we have intersex people, we have people with anomalies with chromosomes. It's not black and white. I understand that.
Yeah, and I guarantee you have met trans women that you had no idea were trans women. Like, in bathrooms and change rooms, all over the place.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Potentially.
So, like,
but there was a study, and I'm not trying to be rude here, but there was a study done that said that most people can tell if somebody is trans. I think it's
by
about
who? Source?
90% of the time.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a source on that one. But
Yeah,
also,
think
I have to go
think
back to
it's
work.
pretty- I think it's
You're
pretty
stupid. Bye.
Googleable.
Please
Cite your
source
sources
it
if you're gonna
out.
make a.
I think it's on Google, like it's that.
Google is not
study.
a source, honey. I'm sorry to tell you.
No, Google isn't a source, but when the source is so profound, you can find it on Google. I don't know if you know that.
Give us something to look for, or your points aren't backed by evidence. It's that simple.
Have you ever Googled that yourself, or researched that yourself?
Considering I've had a special interest in sex and gender since, God, I was probably 13 or 14, so a decade or better. Yeah, I have researched these things myself.
Okay. So have you seen that study anywhere?
Which specific study? You just said
So
Google.
I'm saying that generally people can tell if somebody is trans by looking at them. I think it's something like 96.6% of the time.
Are you just
Don't
speaking of trans women in
source it.
particular? Because trans men, they'll fucking bamboozle you instantly. Holy shit, they
Absolutely.
bamboozle me all the time. I'm like, wait, you're trans?
I've been bamboozled by a lot of trans men.
Trans men are testosterone is it's a hell of a hormone. It really drives.
It's dominant.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. But I think within trans women, it's less so because testosterone is so predominant in.
Yeah, it's just because testosterone is pretty dominant.
So maybe the study I read
was host finished speaking.
But if people go through gender affirming hormones and they aren't forced to go through male puberty, because it would be forcing them because it's against their will.
Is that not a natural?
Okay,
was the host finished speaking for the
I understand,
time?
but if I don't say it now,
we have the ability to stop it. We have the ability to pause it. And if we take away that ability to, it is forcing them. Actually, it might be natural, but it is forcing them. You're taking away the option. You're taking away their agency. You're effectively taking away their life at that point.
It depends on how you define natural as well.
If I forced you to go through cancer, I'm taking away your rights. Cancer, yeah, exactly, Astrid. Cancer is also natural.
Yeah, but cancer is it grows, but everybody, whether you are asexual, whether you are anomalies with your DNA, whatever, everybody goes through puberty because it's the natural way of you growing from adolescent to adult.
Okay, it's still
and when you have puberty blockers and things like that, you're stopping.
Yeah, we're stopping the
transition.
natural process of things. But that doesn't matter because cancer is also natural, and you have no problem with stopping that.
I understand what you're saying, but when it comes to adolescence, we all have to go from adolescence to adult, and the only way through that is puberty. Cancer is cancer. Not everybody has it.
Listen,
not everybody goes through it. But every single person goes through puberty.
Question.
Everybody is capable of getting cancer too.
But not everyone will get it.
You're saying, Laura, that people enter adulthood by going through puberty, correct?
Yes, it's part of the biological.
So biological just means living.
Yeah, so it's part of the living experience.
Anyways, back to my point. What about people who have gone through more than one puberty? Maybe one as an adult.
You might have to elaborate for me here.
People on HRT go through more than one puberty. Does that make sense, or do I need to break it down further?
No, it doesn't.
People who are like trans women who are on androgen blockers and estrogen, and trans masc people who are on testosterone go through a second puberty when they start taking said hormones.
So I've never heard of it called a puberty.
It is.
I've never heard that term before.
Okay, it's basically a second puberty. So if you can't accept that concept, then saying puberty is what transitions you into adulthood is really not a valid statement to be making, unless you're educated on how trans folks can go through more than one puberty in their lifetime.
So if you actually look at the definition of puberty, it's adolescence to adult.
Depends on what
that is the definitional.
So
that is the definition of puberty. So I would be confused to say a secondary puberty, because you don't become an adolescent to an adult more than once.
So
I can agree on that last part. Sorry, go ahead.
is that it's a lot of the same things that would happen during. So like if we have a female who then takes testosterone, a lot of the same things that you would see in an adolescent male who starts going through puberty, you see in a female who is taking testosterone. You see a
So I
thickening of
can
hair
understand that.
follicles around things such as armpits and pubic regions. You see a redistribution of muscle fat or muscles and fat, and a lot more. But like so it is almost identical in terms of like the things that we're seeing happen in this individual. Is it puberty in the sense that they're going from an adolescent to an adult? No, but it's basically the same outside of that.
It's a hormonal change.
There's
The
a lot of
same as
physical changes.
I understand what you're saying, because it's the same as what puberty would do, because
Yeah.
obviously you only go through puberty through a hormonal change. But my point is puberty is going from adolescent to adult. And that is literally what puberty is. So a hormonal change, I completely understand. If you're going from, say, a male who has gone through puberty into a female, you're going to see massive hormonal changes. But when it comes to menopause, that's a very, very different hormonal change again, because it's part of the sort of growing cycle. Child to adolescent, adolescent to adult, adult to I don't want to be offensive here.
But menopause is
Old.
caused by ending a decrease in estrogen progesterone.
Yes, but it doesn't
Yeah.
stop you from being an adult.
Laura,
It actually progresses you.
did you know that doctors warn you if you miss your estrogen meds for more than 2 days in a row, you start to undergo menopause?
You mean within trans?
For trans women, yes. If you're on
For trans women.
HRT.
Sorry, I wasn't sure what you meant. I can quite understand that.
So like, we get menopause too. Just saying.
I didn't disagree. Obviously, if you're on hormones, and all of a sudden that hormone's no longer there, like with women, like with biological women, or sorry, cis women, you'll start to, have a change. But I think I could be wrong in saying this if somebody wants to correct me, but within trans women, does it not refer you back to the cisgender, where you start to grow hair again, where testosterone takes over? Am I correct in saying that?
Depends on. Can you rephrase it so I might understand?
So if you were a transgender woman and you were to stop taking female hormones, instead of going through some sort of menopause, you would then start to transition back to
Incorrect.
male hormones. So you would start to regrow hair. Testosterone would be more prevalent
Yes.
within the body.
Okay, thank you
Am I-
for reiterating for me. So, it would be menopause. That's exactly what it would be, a form of menopause. When cis women go through menopause, they experience the same exact things that a trans woman would if she were to stop taking her HRT, if that makes sense.
Could you elaborate a little bit for me? Because
you might have the symptoms of hot sweats and moodiness and whatever else when you go through menopause as a cis woman. Trans women who are not on HRT anymore, which is what your question was, if I'm understanding correctly,
Yes.
would go through a menopause in the same way. They'd have the same symptoms
Yes.
as cis women.
But
So
what would
it
be
is
the end
not-
result was my question. So would it be that they started to have more masculine features again?
It
And I'm not
depends.
saying that it's any different to menopause. It was just a question.
Yeah,
Some of
it's
the effects
very
get
similar.
reversed.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Sometimes it depends.
Yeah. But also, it depends on what surgeries they've had as well, because if they have had bottom surgery as trans women, they don't have testes anymore. So they have to stay on either testosterone or estrogen for the rest of their lives because their body is not producing either a male or female hormone profile in which to function under, if that makes sense. So, like, it's really situational what you're asking. Like with trans women that have had these certain surgeries, like, no, they're not gonna fully like lose these certain traits if they stopped taking HRT. People who haven't may go back in a sense, but it's in the same exact ways as women going through menopause.
So if we're talking about a fully transitioned woman, it would be pretty detrimental to come off of HRT.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, okay.
Either
Understood.
with their sex assigned at birth or with their gender identity and or depending on if they're trans or not. Yeah, if you've had bottom surgery as a male, you don't have the testes which create this male hormone profile within the body, and not having either hormone profile can be very harmful. Yes.
Okay, so I wasn't aware of that. I haven't seen bottom surgery as in real life, but I've seen the sort of simulation of it, and I wasn't aware that the testes were compromised. So thank you for educating me.
This also
No
just happens
problem.
in people who are missing ovaries or testes too. They have issues where they generally do need to, like, if you have like if a guy just gets his balls crushed real hard and they stop functioning producing testosterone, they usually will have to go on testosterone just for health reasons, because our bodies are naturally they're kind of strange in the fact that they really like to have these hormones in them for whatever reason. And that sounds really like it's just kind of a weird thing about human biology, because like if we look at like sheeps and stuff where like it's common to castrate them, they don't have these same issues, which is I'm not entirely sure the entire biological reason for it, but it's humans just like to have our freaking whatever's
just to be normal
hormones,
and have your hormones at a normal level. No, I understand that. I suppose my only question, because obviously, like I said, my mum had ovarian cancer, so my mum had full removal of all of her lady parts, but because she had cancer, my mum couldn't go on. My mum was on HRT before that, but because of the cancer, my mum had to stop it because it was feeding the cancer. And she thought that she would go insane, because a lot of women do tend to, when they've gone through menopause, losing their estrogen or their, certain levels that they have can literally, really mess with their mental health completely. But my mum couldn't have it. And looking back now, it probably did mess with her psyche a little bit.
Yeah, as a woman going through that, I can totally understand how your body no longer producing estrogen and needing HRT as a cis person can be really difficult when it's not a choice. So I just want to say, like, we hear you, we see you, we know that these things can be difficult. I know that Lucifer has been waiting a hot minute to say something, so I'm gonna hand it to them. But yeah, I just wanted to add that, like, it is awful that anyone has to go through that, cis or trans.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh no, you're fine. The best way I tell people in my panel, if they really want to know a trans person, And if you want to know what the surgery looks like, you can look up. I don't know if you know this. I Am Jazz. She is a trans woman.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the one. And the whole show talks about when she was younger. Also like how long it actually does take to get surgery and what the whole process of that is. But
Yeah.
I just want people to stop thinking that I'm also AFAB. I need people that don't understand that I'm not trying to take anything from anybody. I'm also fighting for both bodily autonomy rights right now. And I'm sick of tired of people saying, well, you're just taking women's rights, you're doing this. And I'm like, yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry, your name's Lucifer? Is that correct? Am I saying that correctly? Hello?
To my knowledge, yes.
Yeah. Do you mind me asking what you identify as?
I'm pretty sure that they said they're they he.
Yeah, they did say that earlier. I don't want to necessarily disclose, like, without them being here.
Okay.
I don't know if they're like munching or
Yeah,
taking
away.
pictures or
Yeah.
what, but yeah,
They're listening to Spider.
that's
What's
what
the
they
question?
expressed earlier.
What was
Okay.
Sorry, stepped
Sorry,
away.
I didn't hear. I apologize. I'll just wait for them to come back on.
I'm here. I just stepped away. What was the
Oh,
question?
sorry. I just if you're okay with sharing, I wondered what you identify as.
Oh, sadly, I'm a woman, but that's why the term AFAB, a female sign at birth, works for non-binary people. So yeah,
But you're non-binary.
I'm trans non-binary and trans masculine.
Okay. Okay. Do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm about to be 29.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm still fighting doctors on some things about my body, but yeah.
It's an eternal battle. I'm sorry, friend.
I was saying, I'm still actively fighting for my body autonomy on both sides, so and it's why I'm very passionate about.
I understand, and like I said, like I wasn't trying to step on anybody's toes when I said what I said. This is just my personal opinion, but it doesn't mean I'm not open to what other people want for themselves. Like for me, it's a worry when people go through so much, because it's a massive, massive thing to go through. For anybody to regret it and not be able to turn back, it just. That was where I was coming from. I am not transphobic. I'm not telling anybody that they shouldn't do what they want to do with their bodies. That was just my opinion. And again, I didn't really get the chance to say, if somebody wants to do whatever they want to do with their body, that's completely up to them. I would never ever tell you, don't do it. It's not my place. I would never pretend that it is my place. It's just my opinion on how I feel. And I would hope that nobody would sort of cast me aside for that opinion. And I again, if you tell me that it's not right for you to be in your body, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Sure.
If we lived in a world where everybody, like the social norm was that everybody was transgender, majority of people, large majority, were transgender, and we were up here questioning, why are you cisgender? Why haven't you gotten gender affirming care? Why haven't you transitioned? Why haven't you done this, that, and the other? Like, just imagine that for a second. Imagine how that feels. Imagine how that is. Like, we simply exist. We know we're the minority. We know what sex we are versus what gender we are. Like, we don't deny our sex. We aren't hurting anybody by being who we are.
I don't think you are.
Affirmation has good outcomes, like things like that. Like, how would you feel in that scenario that I gave? and why do you think it's
Again, like I apologize if this isn't what you want to hear, but the reason why I come from where I come from is because there's a lot of work that goes into changing your body completely. And I think that's my argument. Like, to completely change everything about how you're born. It's not something that I can comprehend in my own mind. So for
just
me,
because you can't comprehend it does
But-
sorry. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
no, I understand what you're saying. Like, you should be able to. I should be able to see it from somebody else's side.
I didn't
And
say that. No, I don't.
No, but I
mean that.
probably should. I probably should be able to see it from somebody else's perspective.
I do want to bring up one really important part, actually, about like detransitions. Have you really looked into the reasons why people detransition?
I have, and a lot of the reason is why people don't feel accepted.
Mm-hmm. The study that I generally will say that basically says that only 5% of the 13% of individuals who quote unquote realized gender transition was not for them ends up being like 0.65% of the sample of over 17,000 people interviewed. So like it and this actually goes across the board of like I generally see anywhere from 0.3 to 0.6% of the individuals who actually go through like any sort of affirming care end up regretting what they're doing. The regret rates of not going after like affirming care seem to be a lot higher than those who go through with affirming care. So like, yeah, we should definitely look at the data, but like 82% of the people who go through or who end up like retransitioning cite at least an external factor, such as getting a job, pressure from family, or spouse, or parents, harassment, or that's simply too hard. So like it's something that like it is important that we realize that this happens, but I think it's well overblown a lot of the time.
I think it's really hard to. It's hard to have this debate in any way. For me to say, I don't believe you should do this. And that's just my opinion. Like, if you said to me, well, I'm going to do it because I feel like it's necessary, who am I to say, who am I to say, no, you shouldn't? And maybe I should have said that in the beginning. I do apologize if anybody on this panel thinks that I'm against them being their true, authentic self, because I'm not. I think if you are who you are, you should be that person. And I want to make that very clear. But the statistics are, it is hard to have this debate because the statistics are so messed up, and the facts, and this is a fact and that's a fact. It's all very conflated. The internet is a very confusing, at times biased place. And I think that maybe if more people were just accepting of, yes, it may not be what I would do, but that doesn't mean it's not okay. I think it would make a lot more people feel comfortable. Does everybody agree with me on that?
Well, I just had actually 2 questions for you, Laura. Do you know what gay and trans defense is by chance?
Gay and trans defense?
Yes.
You may need to educate me on that.
It's a law in certain red states or any state. It's not in California, but it's where if somebody went on a date with somebody who was a gay man or trans person, and say if that person was on the down low and they were hanging out with friends, and friends are like, oh, you're gay, oh, this, blah, 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 blah. And the person ends up taking the anger out on that person, unalives them, and then they go to court they can say I didn't know and then get slapped on the hand and be set free. Do you know that's natural law?
I'm not. I don't know if anybody can tell from my accent, but I'm from the UK, so I'm not.
I know some things because I have a couple friends in the UK and they tell me some things, and I've looked up a couple things. I just wanted to ask that, and another one is like if your child came to you and just like I don't know if you've heard of Next Benedict, which is a very sad story. Would you want schools to kind of like talk about our community, or would it be like an outside thing? Because I don't know if you, like I said, I don't know if you know who Next Benedict, who they were.
No, I don't know who that is. But I can tell you, I have 2 teenage girls. One of them is 13. One of them is 14, going to turn 15 next month.
Okay, so
They go to a very inclusive school. They have an LGBTQ club, which both of my children are a part of, and my youngest is L on the LGBTQ.
Well, I was just saying because not a lot of people know what happened to them. They were 16 going into high school, right? And they had bullies. You know how bullies are in high school. They're kind of,
Awful.
Yeah, and Next had enough because the school wasn't doing anything. Because you were trying to be like, hey, like these people keep bothering me. They're just like, oh, we'll talk to them. But, actually the principal never gonna take her side. Next decided to throw water on them because the girls were being mean to them. They sadly got unalived by their bully, and they were only 16 years old.
So the horrible girls actually unalived them.
Yeah, they unalived at 16.
Wow.
And their grandma today is still fighting justice for them. If you want to look into the story, I won't say here because it is highly.
I can imagine.
It is actually highly triggering how they passed. But the grandma's still fighting justice for them. But I just want to ask. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah. So my youngest is part of the LGBTQ community.
Real quick. I just want to understand. Sorry. How do I want to word this? How you don't see these things as the common occurrences that they are. I know that news doesn't necessarily cover these things as much, so I can give anyone that much. But if you care about the LGBTQ plus community as a whole, then you should be looking into these things specifically. I believe globally. Just kind of keep in touch with things, but especially where you're at. And sorry, I totally just lost my train of thought, but I feel like I got 90% of my thought out.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. So I live in a very sort of small suburb outside of the city. There's not an awful lot of LGBTQ plus people in my area. I'm not saying that I don't come across people from that community, because I do. I've been friends with people from that community since I was a teenager. And I would never tell anybody that they can't be what they may want to be.
But Laura, do you know our history as a community as a whole, of why we're still struggling and why we're so so passionate about these things? Do you even actually know the whole history of the rainbow community?
I may not know the whole community, but I do know quite a lot about it.
Because I promise you, I say this all the time, instead of looking outside and, judging or maybe hearing something and then go along with it and hate the person, I always tell people maybe step into our shoes, because if you looked up Stonewall, right, which was it's a very sad event on how many people have lost their lives due to police brutality or just losing their life.
Yeah.
The Yahtzees burning books because they didn't want people to find out what experiments they were doing to people, which wasn't okay. You would realize that we were never the problem.
I don't think that the LGBTQ plus community is a problem. I really don't. And again, I don't hate anybody. I'm not a hateful person. That's not in my nature. I've never been like that. I've always been a caring, loving person. And I think that is why, like I said, people say it's anecdotal or whatever, but I have a very close friend that detransitioned and it made their life very difficult. And I think as somebody that's had lots of friends in the community, and as somebody who's also had a friend that detransitioned and said transitioning was the worst thing that they ever did in their life,
Well, I
see it from both sides of the coin.
And well, sometimes it doesn't work out for some people. That's why we have exploring, questioning, or queer, right? You can question yourself. There's nothing wrong with exploring and questioning yourself.
Mhm.
So
I
know that
agree.
you're-
I
hold on.
agree.
Do you think we're a monolith? That's just my question.
Sorry, what did you say?
Do you think that trans people are a monolith?
Are what? Sorry?
Monolith.
A
like singular?
monolith. Like we all have the same beliefs. We all.
No, I don't, because I think that the trans comes under quite a vast umbrella, and it also includes non-binary people. And again, non-binary is a whole different sort of situation. And then,
Situation.
I mean, if you're non-binary, I think that you don't. So I only have one non-binary friend, to be fair, and they say that they have masculine days, feminine days, and days where they don't feel either.
Oh, so they're gender fluid. Yeah.
Well, they call themselves non-binary.
Yeah, but they could be non-binary, gender fluid. Wild part about the community is you can add on what you see yourself as. So they could be gender fluid, non-binary. Because gender fluid, you can fluctuate between being presenting or femme presenting. It happens to people where they like, oh, this actually fits me as well.
Again, and then you have somebody that is exclusively non-binary, which I'm learning more now is more of an androgynous term.
For some, yes. Some people like myself, my voice tends to drop or go higher, because I'm androgynous. But some people could be agender, some people can have a gender, some people could be feminine.
And even, sorry to add or interject, there are people like demi-boys, demi-girls.
Demi-girls, yeah, I've heard
Exactly.
that term. Yeah.
Who are more aligning with the feminine or the masculine, how they see it, if that makes sense.
So I've also heard that term with adolescents that, like I said, my kids go to quite an open school. They have a whole LGBTQ community, but obviously in the UK, transitioning is a little bit more complicated over here than I think it is in America. Obviously it's state to state, so I can't comment. But trans children tend to what's the word I'm looking for? Identify as demi-boy or demi-girl at young ages because of obviously the restrictions that we have on transitioning.
That's not all, but some, yeah.
No, some, yeah.
But I want you to know that I hope you know that UK doesn't even recognize non-binary people. You can't even put it on your ID. And I've talked
No,
to
you can't.
I've talked to a couple people. Like I said, I have a couple people that in the UK that recognize that there are still problems in the UK towards our community. It's kind of talked about, but not really talked about, and it's a
Well,
huge problem.
laws have come in, as in like like legal laws, where it says that the term woman is only for cis women. It doesn't include trans women, but socially, it does. So obviously, that's a whole different conversation that I'm not familiar enough to get involved in.
But I would say if you always see things or hear things that are that happen in our community, and help me would be like, hey, that's not okay, because I despise when people waste their energy on our community when there's little churches that harm kids. We aren't the issue, but they want to protect the priests in the church. Never use the same energy of harming us. Instead of harming us, go to the churches that are actually doing these things. Like I said, I'm just getting tired of our community getting pointed at when it's never our fault.
No. I understand what you're saying, and I will say this: in the UK, I don't know if you know this, but in the UK, we consider America quite a religious country. In the UK, we're not.
Can I just jump in and say that that's very funny, because you guys are the ones who like established Christianity, and we're like such a secular nation. Like I understand that it's different, but like it's very funny to me how that's kind of.
Well, we didn't actually establish Christianity. Christianity came from Africa, but
to be clear, sorry,
within the Western world, yes, Christianity was very much. I mean, obviously, our royal family is head of church, is head of state, head of church. But if you come to the UK, you will find that there are not a lot of people that are religious. There are not a lot of UK people that are Christian. I think compared to America, I think we're about 45% less.
To kind of keep it on topic and more linear, and also to create space for everyone on the panel, Amy hasn't gotten to say a lot, and I think that they should be able to have that opportunity. So I just want to kind of open up the floor to them as well.
Sorry, got distracted. Oh man, I am very sorry. I wanted to bring up kind of more insight about not being non-binary, but the conversation passed, and I zoned out, and I didn't know where we are now.
I'd love to hear your opinion on it, because obviously there are a lot of different opinions.
As I'm very words. I'm very passionate, and I like to learn about all kinds of identities. So kind of a more specific definition for what non-binary is, since I am technically under that umbrella. It is basically someone who does not align with the gender binary, so they identify as neither boy or girl. For what you explained, it kind of reminded me, your non-binary friend, it reminded me of how people show themselves. I forgot what the word is, but as oh my gosh,
I think I know what you're talking about.
I think I'm flustered because I wanted to talk about it, and then the conversation passed. I ended up
That's so fair.
zoning out, and I'm like, oh, I don't even know where we are.
I think I know what you're talking about, though, like where you can. So obviously there's gender fluid.
Yeah.
But then obviously there's.
And I think even then, It's really up to the person. I don't think gender, like how you express yourself doesn't have to be connected to your gender. Like I am a gender, which I usually use genderless um as a more friendlier term because not all people know what that is, and I don't blame them, especially if they're not completely knowledgeable on it.
Yeah.
But I basically don't identify with any label or gender. I just personally think it's restrictive for me, and I like
So it's
how
a
my
personal
identity is.
preference.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. I like when my other aspects of myself is the forefront of who I am.
Yeah.
But I also am feminine. I can also be. I can also be masculine or androgynous.
Yeah.
That's just how I like to express myself. I don't see it really as being connected to my gender. But I just sometimes I like to wear dresses. Sometimes I like to wear boyish clothes because that's just how I like to express myself. I just thought it was interesting to bring up. I'm
I
gonna
mean,
mute again
I
until I figure out
what you were thinking,
another
yeah. Well, as soon as,
point, as well
yeah,
as
as soon
listen.
as you think of it, interject. But I'm the same. I mean,
I
like,
was about to say the same exact thing. Sorry, Laura. That's
okay.
really like respectful and understanding of you to like accommodate people in that way. So I really appreciate it. Sorry. I'm on mute now. Go ahead.
I'm also
No, I
gonna
was just
jump
gonna
in
say,
here
like,
too. Hold on. I'm just gonna jump in here because I'm getting a little tired. So I think I'm gonna go for another like 15 minutes or so. And then I'm going to bed, people. So just to give you like a 15-minute heads up. Just because I'm.
Thank you, 15.
Yeah. Usually I just like, okay, time to end. Bye. But yeah.
there's a flow here.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I can go live. I went private for a sec because I had a scary experience. But I'm willing to go live and finish it after he goes to sleep. We can finish the conversation if you like.
We shall raid Lucifer after this. Sorry.
Well, I've just added everybody on the panel. If just to follow everyone and the host as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
For the night, if that is okay.
I don't mind if people follow me. But I usually talk about MySpace is always generally talking about trans non-binary and trans masculine and non-binary people as a whole because sadly we are never talked about in enough spaces, so not a lot of people are gonna understand what it's like to be in our community. So most of the time when it's my panel, even if I have something up, I let people come up and ask if they're genuine because sadly we're never brought up in conversation because we're living in a
now dominated world.
well, we're living in a turf and trans medicalist world where
Yeah. Society, so yeah, I understand what you're saying. Society is what it is, and it's hard to change the opinion of the masses or even try to interact with the masses to put your point across. So I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, we're just swept under the rug. You know how hard it is. People just try to say like I'm very blunt and I'm very straightforward. And no, it's just me being exhausted of explaining that the erasure is happening in the community because of turfs and the the bad people in the community. So it's
where in America do you live, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in California, where I live. Kind of, I hate it here, but I have nowhere else to go because Trump's made everything too expensive.
I thought California was quite a progressive state.
Not where I live. Most yes, but no. There's a lot of people that are stuck in their ways of believing Trump in office. So sadly, people are going to be stuck in the way. So that's why I said I had two UK people that told me that it sadly is leaking over there too, where people are now doing things that they never done before because they're listening to the U.S. on their
Mm.
side. So
So where would you say excuse me, where would you say in the US would be a good place to live for you?
probably, I like to say I would like to be like low key, and go to another multiverse. But sadly, I cannot go in the multiverse. Like,
Yeah.
be happy. I have to be trapped with people that generally just use their beliefs, use their hatred, use whatever
Yeah.
they can to erase other people because they are generally uncomfortable.
So would you say that there is like a progressive place? Like, I mean, I've heard that San Francisco is pretty.
Actually, no.
Oh, okay.
There's some places. I mean, they have a little area like where drag queens and stuff live, but no, there's still some problematic things in San Francisco that
So
we can deal
so
with.
I know I said that I live in like a suburb, but I live about 20 to 30 minutes from a city centre, which is Bristol. I don't know, when lockdown was happening, we had a BLM march in the centre and they took down the statue of Colston. I don't know if you saw that on the internet.
Is that the one with like the lady and the men were being weird with it?
So
I-
Colston was like the slave statue that was in the centre, and they literally pulled it down and turfed it in the river.
Oh wow! I know I seen one where they had like the lady. I don't know if it was UK, but it kind of looked like it maybe UK, where the men were going up to it and touching her chest.
Oh no. No. That wasn't here. But no, in where I live in Bristol, there was a prominent slaver. His name was Edward Colston. And he was very obviously prominent in Bristol. He spent a lot of money on the city and stuff, but he was a slaver. He made his money through the slave trade. And there was a statue of him in our city centre. And when the BLM march was happening, they pulled the statue down and threw it in the river. So where I live in Bristol, it's a very progressive, very multicultural place. There are people from all walks of life that live here, and there is a huge LGBTQ plus community, and it's very you would see it if you were to walk the streets here. You wouldn't. I don't think you would feel afraid to be who you are here.
No, sadly, no. People are still stuck in their mindset. Like when Madami won, people went straight to racism when he won. So, like, no, people are still very stuck in their.
Oh no, yes, people are very still stuck in their ways, especially even here. But there's such a community here that it wouldn't, like, you wouldn't feel afraid, or if something happened to you, it wouldn't go any further than a shitty comment, you know.
Yeah, I just say like anywhere. I don't feel like right now anywhere I would feel completely safe because generally
No, I understand that.
I don't trust people like because they hide behind a mask and then
Yeah.
when you talk to them and it slips off and then they're very horrible people. So I generally are always iffy around people.
Yeah, I don't know if you Google it or if you use another source, because I know that Google is bullshit. But Bristol is part of the top 10 cities to live in the world, which is where I'm from.
Yeah, I think a couple of my British friends have talked about it, but I'm like, I generally still think, well, they say that like UK still has things that they need to fix on
Oh
it.
yeah, 100%. I think that happens everywhere, and it's shit that not everybody can just accept and continue on with their lives, which I think that's where people from opposite sides of the coin differ. You know, I'm all right with opposing opinions. If somebody doesn't like what I think, they're more than entitled to feel that way. And you know, I don't. I think that when we talk about these things, when we talk about things that are very prevalent within society, and we understand where people are coming from, I think it's more inclusive and I think it's more productive. Because I mean, obviously, we've had this conversation today. I understand that you are who you are. You're comfortable with who you are. So why shouldn't I be comfortable with who you are? Does that make sense?
That's why I ask people on the daily on my panel, I'm like, I give them this question, which they refuse or they don't want to answer. I ask them this,
Yeah.
is what if one day a mad scientist put you to sleep, but you were a woman or / man, and you woke up in a different body, but you knew you were a man / woman before you fell asleep, and society saw you as that, and you're just screaming at them, no, I'm this. I'm like,
Yeah.
what it's like for a trans person. We are denying their
Yeah.
existence.
So,
They never want to.
as somebody who doesn't identify as trans and probably could never truly understand what that means, I would put to you, say to somebody, if I am comfortable with who I am, why are you not?
Because they're stuck in transphobia and
Again, like,
transphobia.
but again, you would get the same sort of answer if you said it, what you said, because they'll say, oh, well, I know who I am, blah, blah, blah. If you are comfortable with who you are, why should anybody feel any differently? Because it's not about anybody else. It's about you. It's about who you are, how you identify, and how you feel comfortable with presenting yourself. And that is what I think people from the other side, they won't, that they don't get asked that question, you know? If I'm okay with who I am, why is it affecting you, and why shouldn't you be all right with it as well?
Well, like I said, they're very comfortable on blaming trans people. You know, it's so wild that they blame more trans women than they do trans men. It's because of misogyny. A lot of trans women get blamed for things that a cis man does, and I'm like, okay, so now you want a trans man in your bathroom, and then no, but in the woman's bathroom, I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, so it's misogyny. Got it.
Yeah, I
I
do.
read,
I agree with that, because the narrative, and this is not me trying to be disrespectful in any way, but and I don't hear it from all trans women, but there are some trans women that will say, I will do what I will do, and it does it regardless of what anybody, and people take that as, you know, like toxic
Why would you want her?
masculinity.
Why would you want her in a bathroom full of cis men? That will hurt her, though. That's my genuine
No,
question.
yeah,
If you know,
no,
maybe
I understand where you're coming from.
with a trans man going in a woman's bathroom, then like I said, it's misogyny. Trans women are more likely to get essayed and raped by a cis man. That's why I tell people, you don't know who the trans woman is. And you're just gonna pull out somebody from the bathroom, cis woman, and start beating her up because you can't accept the fact that trans women are comfortable in their own bodies and being themselves, and you hate that you can't get the control. So it's just like, if they could blame trans women, then a trans man, that should show you, Laura, that they have misogyny. They rather it be trans men in the bathroom than a trans woman, even though the trans woman hasn't done anything. And if they do something, guess what? Our community calls it out and say we don't claim it.
Yeah.
Hey,
A good book to read
Lucifer,
actually is called.
you said that you could take over on your stream?
Yes, I can.
Okay, well, why do we do that? Because I would like to go to bed.
I am really sorry, and I would love to carry on this conversation, but I'm in the UK and it's 2 a.m. and I've got to get 2 kids at school in the morning at 7, so I am going to have to bow out as well. But thank you so much for having me on the panel. Thank you for talking to me, and I really appreciate everybody that I've spoken to. I've added you all, and I hope we can maybe have another conversation again.
A good book to read actually, if you want to learn more about like the trans experience
sure.
and stuff. It's called A Short History of Trans Misogyny.
Okay.
Let me just, I don't remember the author. One sec, it's in my ebook thing.
It's absolutely tipping down with rain where I am right now.
The rain and raining in the UK? No, never.
Oh, the rain in the UK it's not even worth talking about because it's basically 365 bloody days a year.
Yeah, I live in Colorado. It's just like a semi-arid desert where I live, so it's like we get rain occasionally. Very
Oh, good for you.
occasionally. Like it comes down hard though, and we'll get like multiple feet of snow
Like
sometimes. So
even in the height of summer, when it's like 29 degrees one day, the next day it could be absolutely hammering it down with rain. It's so depressing here. I hate it.
I can't find it in my ebook app for some reason, but it's like the only book that's going to be called that.
Sorry, can you tell me what it's called again so I can write it down?
It's called A Short History of Trans Misogyny.
Transmisogyny.
It basically goes through a few, I think there's 5 different case studies throughout time. There's one that's the Hydra in India. There's someone in antebellum South. It's like trans femininity throughout like history and how it's changed and affect like how trans misogyny became a concept and how.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
It's a very interesting book. I would definitely recommend to anyone.
I do love a paperback, so I might just order that on Amazon.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, again, thank you for having me on the panel, and maybe I'll speak to you all soon.
Yep. And yes, Izzy, you can be a mod. You're here enough to be a mod, so. There you go.
Thank you.
Oh no, I'm talking to Izzy, but not Laura, not you.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like that. I've only been on the panel once. That's pretty generous.
No. I don't trust you that much. No.
I was gonna say,
you seem like a good person, though. Like, to be honest. And I
thank you.
We were off to a rough start, but sometimes people just take time to settle down. So.
No, I agree.
Have a good night. Oh, go ahead.
Before you go, can I just ask why you have a stout in your background?
Why the fuck not? I love stouts.
No, okay, fair enough.
Like, how
I just wondered because
how could you not want this little guy? Look at him.
They are beautiful. It's funny. I've scrolled through my TikTok before and I've not joined your live, but I'm like, why is there a stout?
I like these. But it's funny. Like this is
funny though.
Look at them.
So I have a Doberman dog, and she's like a hound. She can smell anything that comes into our back garden, blah blah blah. And one night she was going ham at the back door. She was like barking terribly, and I was like, "What the bloody hell is she barking at?" So I went into our back room and I looked out into our garden, and we live in like I said, in like a suburb, which there's not a lot of woodland around. We have a big field at the back and a little bit of woodland, but not. And a weasel ran out of my garden. A weasel! I've never seen a weasel before in my life.
If it had a
Which
little
is part
black
of this.
tip on its tail, it was probably a stoat. Stoats are a type of weasel, so.
Yeah, so he was completely black. He was really long with a long tail, and he almost like moved like a snake because he's
That
like moved.
might be a polecat.
It was so I googled it because I was like, oh, what is that?
Mhm.
And a polecat is part of the weasel family, as is a stoat.
Yeah, so European polecats are actually what ferrets are domesticated from.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
but he was big. He was quite big.
Yeah, they're
And I
quite
couldn't.
they're quite large for what you'd expect a weasel. You hear weasel, you think
Yeah,
tiny, and then you have to remember that things like the Wolverine are freaking weasels.
yeah. It was
It's
about
like,
the size of a cat. If a cat were to lie on its belly, I
oh, that
couldn't
might have
believe it. I
been
was like, oh my god,
that might have been a marten.
it could have been.
Martens are quite large. Because
Yeah,
they
but
like this is a
I've never
sable,
seen
which is a
one.
type of marten, and they have they're kind of notorious for being little bastards. Like they've taken down a particle accelerator at CERN twice, just
He didn't
cause.
have big ears like that, but he was the same color. Not
Oh,
the big ears, but the same color. And I was like, oh my god, I've never ever seen anything like it. We get hedgehogs in our garden, and my bloody dog brings them in all the time. She brings them in the house, and she just plonks them in her bed, and I'm like, for God's sakes, please don't do this. She's got a really, really high prey drive. I mean, my husband's walked her in the park at the back of our house, and she's killed a squirrel.
Yeah,
And
the big
yeah,
dogs have
a
high
squirrel.
energy, so.
Yeah, and I had a squirrel as a pet when I was a child, so it really did upset me. But yeah, she's got a very, very high prey drive, and I just couldn't believe it. And when I saw this weasel, or whatever, it was, some type of weasel in our garden, I thought, oh my god, I've never seen one of that in my whole 34 years of living. I've never seen a wild weasel.
I haven't either, and I live in a wooded
No.
area, so yeah. I hope you have a good
Yeah,
night, though. Take care, and I'll
you
probably see
too.
you around. Hopefully, maybe we'll see.
Yes,
All right,
absolutely.
all right.
Good night.
Bye,
Bye.
chat.